All right. What it is, Daniacs? Um, I'm going to go ahead and go over the itinerary with everyone just to let you know what you're in for right here. The first part is going to be theology based, and the second part is going to be culture based. At the end of the total itinerary, we will open it up to a chat roulette type thing where we will be selectively letting people in, no more than 6 total, to talk about any of these topics right here. And when I say selectively, I mean, we're going to be letting people in, just if we get a whole bunch of people applying, we will have to then be selective on who we let in because we only got so much space, right? And then, so after the chat roulette, I'm going to end the live off with me doing some tongues for y'all. All right. And I'll go ahead and the theology, we are going to be talking about introducing and welcoming co-hosts. We're going to define and discuss God. Define and discuss what a perfect creation is or isn't. I'm going to play a commercial for a blasphemous commercial about the 10 Commandments. We're going to go through each of the 10 Commandments, and I'm going to debunk them one by one. And each time we'll send it around the table. And this is the Theology Council, I'm calling it, y'all. Okay, we're going to talk about morality. We're going to talk about paradox and contradiction. We're going to talk about the spirit realm and afterlife. We're going to assess whether the killing of Jesus was a political assassination or if it was a sacrifice like they claim on the culture side. I'm going to come out about what kind of trans I am. We're going to discuss and evaluate how protests are co-opted. We're going to talk about we're going to say fringe, a radicalist. Definitely not all, but we're going to talk about some Muslims killing some people, and people just letting them for some reason. We're going to talk about how reading is for slaves and writing is for creators, the true power of men, the importance of having 2 parents, immigration. We're going to evaluate the state of America. We're going to be using religion, talking about using religion to incite civil war, which is what I see going on right now in America. And we're going to talk about what is your purpose? How do you feel about Trump? And that's what, I was gradually getting into more and more controversial topics intentionally, even though it's starting off super controversial. And let's get into it. My thought structure is absurd. The answer is so simple, yet I cannot put it into words. My rage is searing. It's the only thing that burns clean the distortion of this world's imposed paradigms. Everything is nothing, and there is nothing in between. I want this, the motherfucker. All right, I fucked that for today. I did that yesterday. We'll just get right into the topics. I don't know. I liked how just starting right off reading that. I didn't like how I was like doing all this shit and then reading that. Like I got a raw dog that. You know what I'm saying? So we'll just get right into our topics. I'm gonna drop my disclaimer and then bring my guests in. I did that intro fucking badass yesterday. If y'all want to go check that out. Just not feeling it right now. So we're gonna get right into the disclaimer. Okay, my personal beliefs are not to be reflected on my co-host in any way. I take full responsibility for my perception and my words and my actions, as all grown person should. If you go after them for association with me, you are not being intellectually honest, and you're being a bit of a little bitch, if that's you. So now, going from there, followers of Abraham are a blood cult of sin worshippers. Yahweh, Jesus, and Allah are desert war gods of hypocrisy, not the actual one true creator. The actual one true creator owns all names and words ever spoken, for there is no name or word spoken apart from the breath of life empowering it. Continuing on, it is impossible for the actual one true creator to be attacked, but the broken theology of Abraham can absolutely be attacked. Is it attacking it, or is it you just defending yourself from it? Because it is a part of their theology that anyone that doesn't capitulate to them must die. And let me go ahead and just get into a couple of them scriptures right quick. Don't take it from me. Don't take it from me just saying something about it. Let's get into the scriptures. All right, Deuteronomy 17:12. Anyone arrogant enough to reject the verdict of the judge or of the priest who represents Yahweh must be put to death. Anyone. See that baby right there? the baby went goo goo gaga, and it kind of sounded like a no, you know? So Exodus 22:19, whoever sacrifices to any god except Yahweh, so shall be killed. So they're not against sacrifice; they're just against you sacrificing to someone else. So the jealousy. What is up with that jealousy? See, the actual one true Creator created all things, and therefore there is nothing to be jealous or vengeful of. So moving on, 2 Chronicles 15:12-13. Um, anyone and everyone who would not seek Yahweh has to be put to death, whether small or great, whether man or woman. Anyone, whether small or great, that's man or child, that's a commoner or a great person. So now, both Christianity and Judaism claim these verses right here, so that applies to them. And we're going to just give you one out of Islam. So Surah at Taba 29-39. Fight those who do not believe in Allah and the last day, nor comply with what Allah and His Messenger has forbidden, nor embrace the religion of truth from among those who are given the scripture. So just like the Christians, as soon as they give it to you, upon hearing it, because that's all it takes is just simply hearing these words. It should be enough to compel you to suck that Yahweh and Allah dick, right? Just simply hearing these words. Actually, no. Simply hearing these words is not enough, motherfuckers. And you're going to find that out when you come to America. Until they pay the tax, willingly submitting. We'll never, and we're going to be getting into that later. I'm saving that for some of my more controversial shit towards the end. But yeah, I got something for you, motherfuckers. I'll show you how I willfully submit, fully humbled while they're sitting there saying, everyone bow to me and suck my dick. Okay, sure. So I'm just pointing out who we're dealing with here. Those are scriptures calling for the death of anyone that does not disagree with, or anyone that does not agree with them. Okay, that's who we're fucking dealing with here. And I got. Just bear with me, y'all. Okay, to be clear, the actual one true Creator encouraged me to defy the broken theology of Abraham everywhere I encounter it. I strive to set the record straight on the one true Creator, the perception of which Abrahamic theology has grossly misrepresented. Contention is the inevitable result of followers of Abraham attempting to inflict their broken theology on me and me defying it. My purpose is to let followers of Abraham know that they do not own the construct of the one true Creator. They have been very successful in monopolizing and dominating the very construct of the one true Creator, so that anytime someone hears that term, they automatically think of all these limitations imposed on that term by those who have upheld that term, which is followers of Abraham. But they have only, I would say they have downheld it. They have not upheld it, because they are misrepresenting the one true Creator. They like for their perceptions anyway of the one true Creator to have all the awe and glory of the one true Creator without having any of the responsibility or the respect towards the creation. And what makes the theology of Abraham broken is that they incessantly attempt to interject division into that which is united. They do this through constructs like sin and evil. And I don't want to step on some of my content that's getting into the perfect Creator stuff. So we're going to get into a little bit of that specifically in a little bit. Okay, so Abrahamic scriptures call for the death of all who do not submit to them. So when one attempts to defend themselves from followers of Abraham, they call it you attacking them. When they try to kill you and you defend yourself, you're attacking them. Just being clear. Okay. So no, Abrahamic theology attacks the world, so the world must defend itself from them. To that end, I hereby and now ever propose the alliance of defiance. And y'all brought it on yourself. See, and I will say right here, disavow. You don't gotta just disavow the scriptures. These scriptures right here, and all like it, the ones I just read. Y'all just disavow those scriptures calling for my death, and we're cool. Quit trying. You do you, and me do me. What the fuck? Well, why do y'all got to go around trying to get everyone to suck your God's dick? You know, the fuck, homie. Okay. So let's start getting into our guest here. Hold on, let me stick to my itinerary. Well, I already. Hey, hey, chill out. Hey, chill the fuck out. Sit. Sorry. Hey. Hey. Sorry. Chill out. Chill out. All right. Sorry, y'all. I just had a little gremlin get up. All right. So anyway, let's get into our guest right here. The witch doctor. Let's bring our guest up. I just wanted to have my disclaimer to protect my guests. All right.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? My name is Steve Blackman. I'm the Witch Doctor. I have my own show where we talk about religion and different topics. Below me, we have Hope Micaiah. Hope, go ahead. Tell the audience a little bit about yourself.
Hi, guys. My name is Hope Micaiah. I am a believer and a skeptic. So I don't have all the answers, and I'm open and willing to learn.
He's a very interesting theology, y'all. Actually, Hope is my guest of honor right here. I've been wanting to have Hope on my channel for well over a year, and this is all thanks to Witch Doctor. And when Witch Doctor reached out to me, the first thing I thought of was that Witch Doctor's like, "Hey, man, you want to do a live?" And the first thing I thought of was like, "Yeah, if I can get Hope on, I do." You know. So thank you for being with us, Hope. I appreciate you, brother. I've been calling Hope my spirit brother for 2 years now, at least. We've been talking and he challenges me on a lot of my theories and stuff, and I will openly admit that they are theories. It is not a dogma. It's a working theory. Brooklyn Lou, what's up? Tell us about you.
Well, I'm Brooklyn Lou the Skeptic on YouTube, and I'm a former evangelical Christian. I'm a dad of 2 grown children. I have 3 grandchildren, and I'm pretty much a stone cold atheist. So,
atheist or anti-theist?
Well, I'm definitely an atheist, and the anti-theist, I would say yes, only because of the Abrahamic gods, as you know, the Abrahamic God that is portrayed. I'm against that concept.
Well, just keep in mind that there's a lot of theisms out there, and don't let the murderous followers of Abraham. Not everyone's like that. See, like for me, for instance, I'm a theist. I don't want to kill you just because you don't believe what I believe. You know what I'm saying?
I know that, and I definitely accept that there's a lot of really good Christians and Muslims and Hindus and all the different religions.
No, absolutely. There's good people of every demographic, but it is my contention that all the Christians and Jews and all the Muslims that are good people, it is not because of their scriptures, it is in spite of their scriptures. And with me saying that, I will openly admit I know most about the Christian scriptures, okay, but I am absolutely studying the Islam and the Jewish scriptures. And the more I study Jewish scripture, the more I see how much, the more I see why they don't really like Christians. They don't, because Christians totally perverted their religion. Okay, the Christians say that we worship the God of Abraham, yet they don't, because the God of Abraham is not Jesus. And oh, hey, look, Christians say our Yahweh is Jesus. So what they essentially have done is they created a divergent Yahweh. Okay. That's totally different from the original Yahweh. So that is not actually the God. I just want to let you Christians know that are listening, you don't actually worship the Yahweh of the Jews. You created Yahweh in the image you wanted and overlaid Jesus' story over it. And then you Christians run around saying, oh, don't make God in your own image. You got to stick to the Bible. Oh, back up. But wait, the formulation of the Bible was the Christian attempt to make God in their own image. So they get very jealous. They did keep the jealousy from Yahweh, but that's about it.
Yes.
Okay, so I guess we're kind of getting into it a little bit already. My next thing is define and discuss God. So we're kind of getting into it a little bit already. So let me hop right on in, Sean. I just, without my notes, y'all, I'm a floundering fucktard, and even with them, I'm just a little bit of a floundering fucktard. So, all right. I will definitely admit that I'm not as prepared as I wanted to be, but I'm prepared enough. And thank you for making this happen, Witch Doctor.
Yeah, for sure.
Okay.
So the question was, define God.
Yeah, I'm just looking for my damn notes, bruh. Okay, so here we go. Yeah, here we go. So I will say, okay, we'll go right to the omni traits. They got the omnipotence, the omniscience, the omnipresence. Okay, and see, my notes are incomplete here too, because I was going to write down how exactly Yahweh and Jesus aren't, and Allah aren't any of these also, because Christians will say yes, our God is omnipresent, all knowing, and all powerful. So see, they also like to say all loving, and that's see, they produce their own problem of evil when they sit there and try to say our God is all loving. Right in that, when they try to say we have objective absolute morality, and we're going to be getting into all that. I'm just kind of chumming the waters with those subjects right now. I know this is one of Lou's favorites. I'm just trying to stick to my itinerary, so I make sure I get everything in order right here. So I will say, I put a lot of thought into it, and the only thing from my perception, and by the way, I'm a non-Abrahamic true monotheist. I realize I didn't make that quite clear yet. So, and I was raised pagan, just real quick. I claimed spiritual for a long time, and I just started thinking about it. I'm like, spiritual is not quite accurate enough. So I try to be more accurate with it. And that's where I got the non-Abrahamic true monotheist. And that really still doesn't feel quite accurate enough. And when I find a better label, I will use it. But that's just good enough right now. So the way I see it, the only thing that God cannot do is the one true creator is a perfect creator, and as such produces only perfect creations. He cannot transmute a perfect creation unto an imperfect creation. So that's the only thing that God can't do, is if he is a perfect creator and everything that he produces is a perfect creation, then there cannot possibly be an imperfection if there is one true creator, the way I see it. So so to me, that right there just proves entirely the notions of sin, evil, because all those are predicated upon the actual separation from the one true creator, which would actually invalidate the construct of the one true creator if there was true separation. So that brings us right into the attributes of God as I see it, which is unity and balance. Okay, consciousness, dark and light, and I have a bunch of examples for unity and balance, because me and Hope talked about this a lot right here. Do you guys have anything to bounce off of where I'm at right now, or you want me to keep going?
Keep going.
Okay. So I was talking to Unity, or I was talking to Hope, and he's like, hey man, I really don't see how Unity's got much to do with it. He's like, consciousness, definitely. Hope said dark and light seems like more subsidiary, not quite as important as the first two. But if you look at them, I think they, and then Hope kind of pressed me on this too. He's like, what order do they come in, or is it all the same thing? And I'm like, I would say it is in kind of that order: unity, consciousness, dark, and light, because light comes from the darkness, and the conscious, or the darkness was conscious before it created the light and gave the light its consciousness. Okay, but I also say that all things exist at the same time and place simultaneously. This is the hold on, I'm kind of handicapped by my notes, y'all, but you just gotta bear with me a couple seconds. Okay, so I say the fractal singularity omnimatrix, which could be called the Godhood. It could also be called the Allspark within the Everdark. So fractals are infinitely complex patterns that are self-similar across all scales, including roots, lightning, coastlines, flakes, mountains, and the Mandelbrot set. Just to name a few. We got, because actually, and that growth pattern of the fractals that it takes that, like all those things I just listed off right there: roots, lightning, coastline, snowflakes. That's the growth pattern of mycelium right there. Okay, a shameless plug for our entheogens. I just call it spirit journey juice. Okay, so the singularity is the quality or state of being singular. A matrix is the set of conditions that provides a system in which something grows or develops. So the set of conditions is the fractal singularity. which provides the system of creation, which could be called the Godhood. The Godhood is the singular state of God, infinitely compounded to render every possibility and probability. The Godhood can also be called the Allspark or the Omniverse. Okay, so that's just kind of my encapsulation. Of course, I have no proofs, and I never claim to have proofs. But like all these, not all of them. Some of the atheist shows are like, call up and tell us what you think about God, and you start telling them what you think, and they're like, "Where's your proof?" And they hate it when I say, "I ain't got no proof. If there was ever one single proof, we wouldn't be having this conversation because I'm stealing the thunder." They like to pull that out. They like to be the ones to tell me I ain't got no proof, but I'm telling y'all. But actually, okay, the proof I do have, if you're asking me why,
you have seen. Yeah.
No, because I am a creator. I create. Yeah. I am a creator. That's how I know there is a creator. Because I know but I also believe everyone is God. Everyone is an extension of God.
Right.
So I'll take that over to the floor.
Matrix. Like we're plugged in. We're all.
Yeah, and we're plugged in through that.
I see what you're saying.
We're plugged in through the fractal singularity omnimatrix, okay, which is everything and nothing all within the same point at the same time.
And that's your signature phrase for the word God, kind of.
Well, that's the most accurate way I can think of to describe it. I'm not just pulling words out of my ass. I'm trying to describe it the most accurately I can.
It makes perfect sense. When you were saying it, I was like, okay, fractal omnimatrix. Now,
well, fractal singularity. You got the fractal singularity, okay, which is the singularity, and a fractal is infinitely. Fractals are infinitely complex patterns that are self-similar across all scales. So it's an infinite, singularity in both the macro and micro dimensions.
It reminds me of how things feel like on entheogens. It's hard to describe it in words, and some people aren't a big fan of that, and that's cool. But it's hard to describe it in words. But yeah, continue, bud.
Well, to be clear to the chat, I would love to get a Satanist up here. I would love to get a biblical Christian up here. I'd love to have a Jew on. If that doesn't happen this time, that's what I'm shooting for. I'd love to get actual Native Americans. Because this is America, it's their fucking land. Their voice needs to be heard too. I actually watch Native American theology stuff too. I like all theology. So this is the Theology Council. I just want to start getting people together to talk about it, man. It's not a debate. It's a council. We're just talking about it. A debate is assuming that there is something that is right. And my view is everything is completely subjective and relative. So everyone is right, so we're not debating. We're just talking about it.
So in regards to God, do you want to go Hope first or Brooklyn to explain
for all of our interactions, I just want to go Hope first, Witch Doctor, and then Lou. Just get it going in that kind of order right there, because we got a bunch of questions to get through. Just that way. Well, that was the rules of engagement, just so we get a good flow going. Right. So tell us what you think about God, Hope. Because it's interesting, because he said he's a believer, but he's a skeptic. He's a skeptical believer. Hope's very interesting, y'all. So give us you were raised Christian, right?
Yeah, I was raised Christian, and much like Brooklyn, I did some evangelism at some point. But I discovered that I do not have certain answers, and I'm therefore not the right person to be preaching. So I stopped and began seeking, and as I continued to seek, Christianity made less and less sense until I had to drop it. So
the more questions you ask, the less sense it makes.
Yeah. I do not have a definitive answer on who God is or what God is yet. I do not know if God is a person or a force, but so far I don't think God can be. I think it's a blend somewhere in the middle, that it's a force that we can associate with. But I do not think that. Now I'm going to have to describe my negatives a little. By
go for it, bro. That's what we're here for.
Yeah, I do not think God is that Christian God, a man seated on a throne, floating somewhere in heaven.
No, so no Sky Daddy, no Sky
Some
Daddy,
white
right?
dude in the clouds going, "What's
Yeah.
up?"
My conception is not a Sky Daddy either, because it's not something that's apart from you. The way I see it, we are all God, and the universe is within us, and the universe that we perceive as outside of us is still within us. You know, so the way I see it, you know, God is everywhere and everything. It's not like an individual separate from you. It is the individual within you that is the one of the all. The one is the all. You are the one. You are the all.
Yeah. So I see divinity to be something that is within every creature and every creation. I agree that God is I agree that God is omnipresent. That is something that I'm in
I agree
agreement
in the
with.
omnipresence. Oh, okay, let me put it to you
Yeah.
this way, Hope. So we got omnipresence. You believe He's everywhere. Do you believe God is all knowing? Your conception of God, is it all knowing?
Okay, I think all knowing is a little, well, I don't know. I don't think God is all knowing, because if God is all knowing, then I do not know if I am actively living my life with free will. And I'd like to believe that if I'm the one who is choosing to pick up this cup, and if God knew that before I could pick it up, then it seems that I do not have the ability to choose freely as I would think. So I'd like to think that God is some force that I can associate with, and I am part God, and we are all part God, and that God is discovering this cup together with me at the moment that
Well,
I'm picking
I
it.
would agree that I think that God is living through our lives. Every instant of our experience, God is living through our lives. But I would like to push back a little bit, because I don't think uh, God being all knowing has anything to do with disrupting free will. Free will and knowledge, because from the Abrahamic perception, they like to demonize, except for more the Jews, you know, but absolutely the Christians and the Muslims like to demonize free will and knowledge. See, I will come out and I was trying to get some Jews on, dude. I will come out and say that I think Jews are the only actual true monotheists left out of the Abrahamic religions. Okay, but circling back around, yeah, I don't think God being all knowing anyway interferes with your free will. So let's go to and I'm just skipping you on these questions, Lou, because you don't believe in God, right? So, but if you want to hop in, Lou, if something pops off, you can pop off. Hope, is there anything from your perspective that God cannot do?
I'd like to think that I'm part God, and from that perspective, I'm very limited. So yeah, God can't do a bunch of things when God has embodied these particular form. But if I assume God is some omnipotent being, then there is nothing that he couldn't do. And no, I don't think God is omnipotent.
Okay. So kind of going back to the perception of, you know, you believe in God because you are a creator, but you see that as a creator, you are limited. So the God that created you must also be limited, something like that.
I do not. I'm still processing my answer on that.
Yep.
But yeah, I'd like to think that, like you've said about the fractal singularity, I'd
Yep.
like to think that God is spread equally throughout space and time.
Yeah, I would agree.
And yeah, and if that is so, then if I am limited, it means God is also limited. And if I'm not
Well,
all powerful, it means
that's
God
the
is not
interesting. that's an interesting discussion right there, because everything we know about our physical reality is based on limits. It is because of those limits that we are able to have the physical reality that we are found ourselves immersed in. So once again, I will reiterate that the only thing I think God can't do is produce an imperfect creation. Witch doctor, you got anything on this one? What is there something that, from your perception, that you think God can't do, witch doctor?
Oh man, so this is a big topic for me.
Oh yeah.
And I don't want to take too long or anything like that. But, I used to be atheist, and I would have told you, from a very young age, I would have just said, no, it's just whatever the realistic answer to everything. A little bit of that still there. However, it's hard to describe to people I grew up around, which were a lot of different Christians and stuff. It's hard to describe to them what I felt and what I've concluded, just because it wasn't until I did entheogens and obviously my brain created a female snake-like deity during this experience, I think, to sort of calm myself, because growing up in Panama, there's something comforting, I think, in
that would have freaked me out, bro. Between me and you, just man, a bitch coming at me with snakes, that would have freaked me the fuck out. I hate snakes.
Was that all I felt was love.
Oh, okay, so you just got a good feeling from it.
Well, imagine if we're here in this video game called like life, right?
Yeah.
Like we're here, we're playing The Sims. I have my wife I love very much. I have my kids and everything. But in this other dimension, it's almost like we all had this other. It's the same thing. It's an extension of us, or we're an extension of it. We're a living extension of it. But in my brain, my energy, my counter, whatever, was an African / Hispanic / Asian / white lady. It looked like every ethnicity into one. And that's just my growing up in Central America and my anthropology mom and being fascinated with that culture, or all the different cultures, honestly. It's just, I was a civil affairs guy in the Army. So we go to Africa, we go to Iraq, and we help out the kids, water bottles, soccer balls, all that stuff. So I think I had this female energy.
That was entheogen induced, right?
Yeah, and I'm sure you can have a natural or exogenous DMT release and have the same experience. Women talk about that during childbirth. Is sometimes they have a DMT release, and it is a whole.
And you were atheist. You were atheist up till that experience.
Yeah, and I hate to say that, because I feel like a lot of people always want to jump. They always want to say that they felt a certain way about something that they felt later in life. They claim they felt that way when they were younger. But in my book, Witch Doctor Christianity, I talk about being 7 years old. And I went to church with grandparents for holidays when we were visiting for Christmas and stuff. Sure, yeah, whatever. And I just remember being at a summer camp with a friend at like 7, like first grade, and just looking around at everybody singing and stuff and being like, these people are all freaking nuts. But I couldn't explain to you why I never believed in Santa Claus and why I never believed in God. I have no idea why. I almost think it was my generation's, the millennials, who got the shortest end of the stick on life. I swear.
Hey, man, don't call us millennials, bro. Just because we're not millennials, man. I'm Generation X.
That worked better for our parents and our parents' parents didn't work the same way for us when we got to when it was our time.
Yeah.
And we did have 2 credit card wars, the length of Vietnam, or double, and I fought those wars. I was in Iraq in 2007.
No. Tell them the story about when you're jumping out the plane and the Christians were all praying, and tell them that story real quick.
I wasn't jumping. I was, trust me, at airborne school, the black hats will look you in the face if you're having a hard time jumping. We had one guy that was praying before he did his jump, and the black hat said, God doesn't live on the plane, and threw him out the damn door. But I was in the middle I was getting my ass mortared. And we were in, we were in Rustamaya, Fab Rustamaya, in the Karada, or the Zafrania district of East Baghdad, right near the Euphrates River. And We were there probably in one of the worst times in Iraq. Afghanistan had some different years that were bad. It wasn't really 07. It wasn't as bad, but it got worse later when my wife was there. But yeah, we were getting our asses mortared. Mortars were dropping in on us, and I huddled up with all these 10th Mountain Infantry dudes. And I was supposed to go home in 2 weeks. We were right there. We had made it. I had already been in all the stuff. You know, I had already been mortared 5,000 times in my sleep. I started to not even wake up for them. But this time was different. They had improvised these mortars with nuts and bolts and stuff. They had strapped them to them like footballs. And when they lobbed these mortars over, they were acting like claymore mines and shooting. Yeah. So everybody got freaking hurt. I didn't. I magically did not get hurt that night. My buddy Mike, his head was all scraped up and stuff. So here we are. I'm 20 years old. I'm 37 now. And I'm an atheist. Now, I had gone out the wire hundreds of times. And when everybody huddles up to pray, all the atheists look at each other. Like, huh? How are you? Yeah. Hope we live. You know,
good luck, bro.
Go to the gym and go to salsa night tonight. And hope it makes up for everything, because that's all we're getting. Y'all actually believe. I said, you don't know how bad I wanted to believe in all of that. And so we're huddled up, and one of these kids, he starts praying, and it's just like, oh man. And everybody else starts doing it. And I'll tell you what, I don't really know how to compare that war and my beliefs and stuff, because it's not like I joined the army to go fight the terrorists, but there was a little bit of that behind your motivation for even being there. And you know, I don't know, it's a little bit hard, I guess, to describe, but in that moment I just thought to myself, like, dude, if you're real, let me live through this. And I'll look. If I can, I'll just look for answers.
I promise to be open.
And I'll try to find you. And I did. But it was a freaking African chick.
Yeah.
What the hell? I was expecting something completely different. And this chick shows up going, hey, where you been? I'm like, fuck, I forgot all about you. It was like I forgot my wife, and like I'm at the strip club and she came in and busted me. That's what it felt like.
Damn.
It felt like, hey, remember me? I was like, oh, fuck. Oh, shit. God damn it. And this is like.
Hey, and check it out. The whole reason I wanted you to tell that story was just for our audience, so that they know the extent to which that you were an atheist. You were an atheist to such an extent where you wished you believed in something just so you had a little bit of comfort going into those war zones, you know?
Yeah, I feel like the strongest soldiers were the ones with crosses tattooed. And they
didn't care about dying.
Indestructible. Yeah.
Well, see, I believe in reincarnation. I don't want to touch on this too much because this is actually one of our topics, but I do believe in reincarnation. I've just never been afraid of dying. Like, I don't want to die, but I'm not afraid of dying, you know? I used to want to die, not no more. I got shit to live for now, but it just don't scare me like it scares other people, the proposition. Okay, thank you guys. Thank you guys very much. That was awesome. We're going to get into. Yeah.
I wanted to just comment one thing about God.
Yes, sir.
From my atheist perspective.
Absolutely.
There is one type of God that I would have no problem with, and that's a God of our own concepts. Because that's what I think ultimately God is. God is probably, if anything, it's ourselves. You know, it's our own consciousness, and it's our own mind and ability to think.
Well, I've always said the magic is in the mind. The magic is in the mind. The magic is in the perception.
Yeah. So like, I think gods are created in our minds. So I'm a stone cold atheist in that I don't think, you know, God is a person, you know, that.
Well, I don't think it's like a separate person. I think it's every person. You know, I agree with you that you're God. Well, I mean, if that's the closest thing to God that you could imagine, I would agree with that. Is what I'm saying.
That's as close as I get to God. Is
Yeah.
a concept in our minds.
Are you an atheist in the sense that, kind of like Sam Harris, how it's like, no, I don't really think. I think we, like, kind of like my story. It's like, I can totally see what you're saying. It's like, well, and I even said, I created that image of God somehow in my own brain, because some people see guys, some people see other types of girls, and it was this Medusa lady kind of, but that was my own brain making that, even in the entheogenic experience. So I see what you're saying. It's like, well, the only God that we have is a construct, and if entheogens make you see stuff, then in my eyes, it makes it look like that's sort of where it created these different gods through the years from.
So it sounds like at very least that we can all agree that God is in your head. If there is any God, it's in your head. What you have in your head is God to you. I know it's just a bad word for most people. People just don't like that word because of all the abuse that they have suffered under the name of God. As projected on them from other people. So let me see here. I did have some proofs of unity that I wrote down, and this is a whole different conversation here, but I'm not rushing this. I really want to be thorough, and this is part of my God definition, which my very first thing was unity. Okay, and I actually just wrote all these down right before Hope said, "Hey, man, give me some proofs of unity." I'm like, "All right, well, I got some for you. Let's go." So let me see here. And okay, proof is probably a bad word for this. Maybe just examples. These are examples of unity, which I use to prove to myself my own Kool-Aid, because I like the taste of my own Kool-Aid. Okay, all light begins and ends in darkness. So as far as unity goes, it would be the darkness that is unifying all light. Darkness is the physical property or mechanism which connects all light. Okay, mycelium is the physical mechanism which connects all living things, and that is scientifically verified. Einstein's general relativity demonstrates the inherent unity among space, time, and gravity, revealing how matter and energy influence the universe's structure, composition, and motion. The grand unified theories suggest that the universe operates under a single overarching unified framework. Now, there is not so far a proven grand unified theory, but that combines everything. But more and more, they keep finding proof of like the. Okay, so I'll just keep going. So the shared genetic coding of DNA among all living organisms highlights the unity of life. All life is unified by the DNA on which it is based. Evolution demonstrates how all life is united by common ancestry. Human microbiome studies show that humans depend on trillions of microorganisms working harmoniously together to perpetuate healthy life, uniting simple individual organisms to ever more complex organisms and ecosystems. Okay, we got the interdisciplinary unity is scientific principles converging to reveal that the universe operates through interconnected systems on all scales from micro to macro. So that's interdisciplinary unity, and that kind of ties back into what I just covered with the human microbiome studies. We got fractals, once again, which are repeating patterns, which are self-similar on all scales from macro to micro, and they reveal an overarching unity throughout all creation. The golden ratio is found in all kinds of natural structures all over. Chaos theory, also chaology, the study of how systems that appear random or unpredictable can actually be governed by deterministic laws. We got quantum entanglement, a subatomic phenomenon where two or more particles become intrinsically connected regardless physical separation. And that actually transcends the distance barrier. That is instantaneous movement on that for the quantum entanglement, because that is the first thing that they found that seemed to go faster than the speed of light. They're like they found the quantum entanglement, and it is not affected by distance whatsoever. So that is inherent unity built into it. Holographic principle suggests that the universe The universe's information is encoded on a two-dimensional boundary, unifying all parts to the whole. Okay, so that's just my notes on unity. We'll go with Hope. Any thoughts on any of that?
I don't have thoughts on that, but I have a question. Where does this unity
Hold on.
stop? Because
Do what? What was it?
where does this unity stop? Is it just a unity of general universal qualities, or is there unity spread out into?
It's an all-encompassing unity.
Yeah. So why do we not see unity in our human life?
We do see unity in our human life. All these things I just listed off are things that. Well, okay, so I think what you're getting at is you can also see division, right? Is that what you're getting at? It's like you can see division. So, but there is division and there is unity. I'm not saying there is I'm not saying that there's not observable division. We'll keep going. Keep going. What else? What else you got? Hey, don't be shy out here, man. Leave your what do they call it? Leave your filter at the door. Leave your shyness at the door. You know, we're here to get into some things. And I actually here, while you tell me about it, I'm going to suck on it for you guys. It's that kind of show. If anyone wants to smoke weed on here, you're good.
Is that something that they have where you live, or is that a no-go? What Dane's doing?
Me?
It's illegal here.
Okay. It's illegal. I figured it would be. Just
Hope doesn't do substances though.
I do all the time, as I told Dane, but not this morning so far.
Light up if you get bored.
I took a break. I used to grow and all that stuff too, but I don't know. I have a really interesting past. I'm not gonna ramble on about it just right now. But I used to grow, and I thought it was helpful for a short amount of time. But I think it's one of those things that can come and go. If you don't need it for a while, you don't need it. You might,
That's only if it's not built into your DNA. I was raised up at 13 smoking weed. It's really hard for me to put it down, brother.
I used it for 10 years straight.
Okay.
In my later 20s, when I got out of the Army, I was just drinking.
Witch Doctor, did you have any thoughts on the unity notes I just gave, or pass?
Yeah. Well, so I think about this as a joke. I think about the show Rick and Morty, where he goes to the planet where he dates the population called Unity, and everybody has the same exact brain. So he has a conversation with this one lady, and then he gets on the bus and he continues having the same conversation with a guy on the bus. And everywhere he goes, he just has this conversation, just keep on growing and building and growing and building. Turns out Rick is dating the entire population, or used to. And then the second that they undid the spell or whatever it was, now the puffy nipple people were fighting the round nipple people, and they immediately started a civil war. So they just found something to disagree on, and I think I see a little bit of that in religion sometimes. Is that I think sometimes people, and I can understand. I started my own YouTube channel to be a little bit different, but similar to some others, and we see that with religion. And so I think there can be unity, like when I'm sitting when I'm on my face, and in that moment, I'm feeling very Christian when I'm getting my ass bombed to death. You know what I mean? But I don't know. I think that unity would be great. There's always some power, some force out there, just like Star Wars. Just when you get everybody getting along, someone comes along and does stuff for the wrong reasons. And it's a cyclical manner all throughout ancient history.
I think, like I said yesterday, you can look at nature to see the nature of God. If you want to know the nature of God, look at nature. Nature is cannibalistic. nature is highly aggressive
very
and violent.
rough. Yeah, nature's
Yeah.
very unforgiving too,
Yeah.
in its own way. Like my first goat that I grew up with tons of farm animals, but I have a goat farm now, many goats, and they're actually Nigerian dwarfs. And I know you're not from Nigeria, but I'm just saying,
Yeah.
kind of same climate. Yeah, not too far away, but either way, the first one we gave birth to didn't make it, obvious, it's very normal for stuff like that to happen.
Yeah.
But I had to teach that lesson to my 7-year-old.
Okay.
You know what I mean? So even though it's kind of a disappointment, I went down to the plant store and bought a red yucca, buried him in the garden and put the red yucca on top of him. And boy, that thing is just growing, He's down there feeding it now, in a way. So I hope that people can find a way to just show a little bit more love.
Yeah,
And
yeah. We'll go ahead and say,
yeah,
we're all brothers. Everyone, quit killing each other. We're all brothers, and that's my whole point. My point is to unite, not to divide. Okay, that is my entire point for speaking up. Is to point out what is that there's absolutely good things with the Abrahamic religions, but those good things don't make a fuck when those are just sprinkles, and the overwhelming majority of it is horrific things. Okay, so if you guys would just take all the horrific shit out your Bibles, the rest of it would be great, and y'all know exactly what I'm talking about. Now, Lou, did you have any thoughts on my notes on unity right here?
I see that there is unity and division both.
Well, absolutely. Just like there's dark and there's light. Yeah, but there is a unity through division. That's a paradox. That's a paradox and contradiction. And I got a whole section on that we're going to be getting into.
Well, I think that human beings should focus more on the unity we have just as being human beings.
Yes.
Well, it's a glass half full, glass half empty type deal. How do you want to look at it? Do you want to look at it as united, or do you want to look at it as divided? Because that's the power of our perception. However you look at it, that's what you're going to start to create and mold and gravitate towards.
Yeah, I try to find commonality with people strictly on a human level, because as an atheist, I'm not going to agree with people religiously. Okay.
Right.
So instead of, focusing on that in my real life, everyday interacting with people, I try to focus on commonality of just being human beings,
Yeah. Everything else that makes you you. Yeah.
Yep.
You're so goddamn beautiful, Lou. Thank you. All right. Where we at here? Okay, so I went over my unity notes and we discussed God. Okay, do you guys believe in a perfect create? We're going to discuss perfect creation. I got some notes on them. I guess I'll just hit my notes right quick. There we go. And this, is once again another issue that has been tainted by the perception of followers of Abraham, because they will like to say that their a creator is perfect, but then like the Christians, they will say, yes, our God is perfect, everything he made is perfect, but he only has one son, but he only has one perfect creation, which is just that one son. So you can't possibly be a perfect creator when only one of your creations out of the damn near infinite creations is perfect. That probably makes you one of the statistically worst creators ever, I'm talking about the Christian Yahweh right now, which is different from the Jewish Yahweh. Now, the Jewish Yahweh, see, this is why I'm learning, because I've been loving learning this Jew stuff, because I see how it makes me see how different it is from the Christian shit. They don't believe in an eternal hell. They believe in like about a 12-month cleansing cycle for a soul in hell. In Jewish theology, the soul just kind of goes on a little tour to get clean through hell. It's not an eternal torture and torment like the Christians have twisted it into, and that's like another thing that just shows you that the Christians totally hijacked and manipulated that the Yahweh. Okay, so now I'm going to get into some of my notes right here, right quick. Okay, so I already touched on that. Rising or falling has no negative detrimental effect on a perfect creation. Neither are good or bad. Both are necessary to perpetuate the motion of consciousness. If he is a perfect creator, then any motion whatsoever cannot transmute a perfect creation into an imperfect creation. If he is a perfect creator, then he can only produce perfect creations. Nothing can transmute his creations unto imperfection. If imperfection is observed, either there is no perfect creator or one is misperceiving imperfection. And a lot of times what Christians will do is say, yeah, he's a perfect creator, but there's that damn free will, that damn free will and knowledge. But whoa, hold up there, Christians. Free will and knowledge are actually creations. Okay, if everything came from the Creator, those are perfect creations from the perfect Creator. So there is no way that free will and knowledge can be in any way the facilitate sin and evil. So that's a little sleight of hand they like to do right there, and misrepresenting the one true Creator. Then we got just a little bit more right there. There is a perception of creation which can include evil, such as held by followers of Abraham. There are also perceptions of perfection which do not include evil. Because that whole term evil, I believe in bad. I don't believe in evil. There is bad. I don't believe in sin. There are mistakes. But that is not sin or evil. Okay. Any thoughts, Hope, on that subject right there?
What's the question? Are you asking if I think God is perfect?
No. Just what is your perception of the perfect claim, or just give me your perception on that subject of perfection within creation. Because I'm not asking you about anyone else's perception, just yours.
Well, if I look at myself, I'm not perfect, and if I look at creation, I see a lot of design, I see a lot of beauty, I see a lot of order, but I also see a lot of chaos. So I don't think God is perfect. I
Well,
think God is
it comes down to how you define perfect, though. Because all the things you just lifted. Because a lot of people say, look at all this division, look at all these bad things. Therefore, it can't be perfect. And you said, I look at myself, I'm not perfect. See, I don't say that. I look at myself every single day, and I'm like, God damn, you're perfect, motherfucker. See, that's the attitude they want you to have, is to look at yourself and not think you're perfect. That is the effect of the perception of followers of Abraham that they try to push on people, is to not think you're perfect. You are perfect, Hope. You're a perfect, beautiful motherfucker. I just want you to know that. Everyone is. And you don't need the Jesus juice to be perfect. You're perfect without the Jesus juice. And Jesus doesn't love you. Jesus doesn't have unconditional love for everyone. He only loves you if you suck his dick. If you suck that Jesus dick, then he loves you. Otherwise, you're burning in hell forever. So I'm a classless heathen, y'all, and I'm cool with it. Like I said, I encourage everyone to leave their filters at the door on my channel. What about you, Witch Doctor?
Do I think
Just your thoughts in regards to perfection, like what do you define perfection as, and then in relation to creation?
Roger? Okay, yeah, creation. That was the thing. I was gonna.
Yeah, but perfection in relation to creation, and just your thoughts on each.
Well, the whole creation thing. That's a tough one.
Well, we haven't even defined creation among us as theists anyway, or theists and atheists. You want to just go ahead and define your creation?
Intelligent design, but the way that religions describe it kind of have an interesting way. It reminds me of Shannon O'Loughlin was on the Joe Rogan podcast, and she's the spokesperson for the Native American Foundation. This is the palest woman I've seen in my freaking life. She's got an Irish last name. Like, what the hell? Like I'd rather have Tiger Shark on Joe Rogan podcast, than talking about Native American stuff. And they have a story about it's a valley in Mississippi, and Hope could tell us some different African creation stories as well, old word of mouth traditions and stuff that maybe surround the culture. I know Christianity came in and kind of
Yeah.
pushed everything else aside. But I know
No,
that
no, you're right, Doctor. I'd like to hear that from you, Kenya. You're more your non-Christian creation stories around there, because we all know the Christian creation story. You know,
I'm absolutely obsessed with art, given
Yeah.
my major when I was at the school.
Oh, me
of the
too,
arts.
man. I'm an artist.
And as you know, you see these pictures of, Adam and Eve, and just you think of the creation stories, and we've come to discover that they're pretty Hellenistic in nature. When our friends that do the text stuff, I'm an art guy, so I can just look at the cave paintings and stuff. But when some of the Greek guys and some of the Hebrew guys all got together, they realized that some of those stories weren't as old as they were thinking. And so that story that we have from around 400 BC about Adam and Eve, I never really thought it was ever real. And my mom, being an anthropologist, you know how they are. They think, and they believe obviously in the evolutionary, chain of events, if you will, all the Australopithecus, all the different species that we were before we were who we are now. And I guess where the atheists and Christians, sometimes that's a topic. It's like, oh, I remember getting in debates with friends, oh, you think we just blinked ourselves here and everything? Absolutely not. And so you lean towards the anthropology side of the house, but then you have these books that come out called The Return of the God Hypothesis, talking about single cell life forms turning into multi-cell life forms.
Yep.
I think life finds.
I know. Check it out. They recently discovered they recently discovered DNA way out in space and shit. So the panspermia, the panspermia is a very realistic explanation right there. So I will say that I believe that there's a good possibility. I'm not going to say I 100% believe it. We're getting into the theory realm right here, but I believe that mankind is actually millions of years old. There's a good chance that, and obviously we've evolved some, but I think there's a possibility that there is some alien genetic manipulation going on. I think there's a possibility that there was an original race of humanoids on Mars that came over from Mars. I think that's when I was a kid, I was always super obsessed with Mars, dude. Like more than anyone else, more like I had no reason to justify it. I've always been super obsessed with Mars and all the shit coming out about Mars recently. So I think that's a big possibility right there. But either way, mankind is way older than what they're claiming anthropologically right now. Anyway, I mean, so it's definitely way older than what the Christians are claiming. 5,000 years, shit.
That's a real tough one. Is how old the Earth is. That's what there was a time when it wasn't too scientific. It was just a little bit. They were trying to become a little scientific, and then even Islam, it brought more science to the table 500 years later. And then there's even more progression and other religions that have come, and now we have these religions called Scientology, and they're talking about Lord Xenu from the planet far away. There's
at least I admit that my stuff is science fiction. that dude, I said, at least I admit that my stuff is science fiction. That dude was a legit science fiction writer, but he's going to turn around and say, no, but really, bro, this one's not science fiction. All the other ones were, but not this one. The dude that came up with Scientology.
He's like Dr. Hillman. He's just showing people he can do it, and it's going to work.
Yeah.
You're using ammunition in a way against him. I think that's why I like that channel so much. He don't really like me right now no more.
Oh, really? No,
yeah.
He's kind of funny. He's kind of funny, but I can only take him for so long. I can't sit there and watch him for an hour or something. I can only watch him for about 20 minutes.
I don't know how long you can keep that going, but I do hope his Greeks.
He's got a huge following though. Shameless shout out though. If Amon's out there watching it anytime and wants to hop on, we'll take him. Don't let Witch Doctor fool. Hey, he wants to talk to us. Don't worry. I can't wait to get Gnostic Informant on. I would love.
He'd be cool to hang out with, as long as you weren't arguing with him the whole time.
No, well, this is the theology council right here, man. This is just to get together and talk about theology. No one's right, no one's wrong. Let's just talk about it, dude. So Hope, can you please tell me, because I know the Christian stories, but I want to get into your perception of creation a little bit more. Or pass. It's cool to pass. I'm just probing, man.
I do not I do not agree with anything I've had so far. So
Okay.
I'm still doing research. I don't
Okay.
agree with the African stories that we have here.
I
I
gotcha.
definitely don't agree
They
with the
just sound like a bunch of
Christian.
fables to you. They just sound like a bunch of
Yeah,
fables like the rest of them. Yeah.
they're all
So,
just fables.
hey,
But I
we got a bunch of atheists watching right now, and they're loving you right now. I'm telling you. Just how skeptical you are about everything. They're loving that. No, I'm
So
just telling you.
I
But
think
he's a theist,
but
y'all.
I
He's not an atheist, but he's a super skeptical theist. We'll just put it that way.
what are one of
yeah.
the stories?
Brooklyn Lou, give it to us. What
Well,
creation?
I don't believe in a creator. So,
Yeah, yeah,
so
yeah.
I mean, I mean, I don't know. So I don't, I don't claim this this perfect understanding of all that.
Oh well,
I
absolutely.
just,
Means everything I said was theories. Like I'm just saying it could be this, could be that. Like I never claimed to know. I was just throwing theories out there. I don't think we'll ever know. All we
I
can know
think
is the life we have. We're not going to know the life before us and the life after us. So that's why the life we have is so important to live. That's all we have.
That is
I don't believe in a creator as some sort of a person or anything like that.
Yeah,
I do think that, what we see around us and the universe came into being, probably naturally. All right. That's my most likely understanding. All right. But I don't, it doesn't keep me up at night wondering, how the first thing came into being. Okay.
Okay. Another thing. Do you have a definition for perfection, or do you just? A lot of
Uh,
atheists don't even like that word.
yeah, I don't really like the word either
Yeah. That's what I'm saying. It's
because
a common thing to not like that word. As I mean, even a lot of Christians don't like that word too because it's been so manipulated at them. But yeah, I only
yeah,
like it because of my narcissism. I hear perfection, and I'm like, me. I wish everyone had more narcissism. I'm
well,
75%. Apparently, that's the perfect mix. The other 25% is all compassion and empathy. So it's tempered, But there's nothing wrong with loving yourself and feeling good about yourself. So please, just for me, next time you guys hear the word perfection, be like, "Yeah, I am, motherfucker." Do it. Just try it on for once for me, y'all. All right. So
I
hey,
think I use the term enough for myself and for others I may talk to.
yeah,
I will say you are enough. Well, I'm enough. All
yeah.
right. But when I get into perfection, it's a concept that, I mean, I don't really understand it. Maybe I don't comprehend it
Yeah.
because
Well,
I don't know
I,
who
I'm
in
just
the
making
world
it
is
whatever the
going
fuck I want,
to.
and I'm making it a good thing. I'm taking it back. I'm recreating it in the image I want that motherfucking perfection to be, which is me, motherfucker. What's up? So, hey, Witch Doctor, can you cue us up that 10 Commandments for Dogs commercials real quick? Um, uh,
on your channel.
if you okay, if you're watching Chris Mallard, this was inspired by Chris Mallard over there at the damn show. He is the coolest fucking atheist. If you guys have extra time in the morning, stop by there. They have the chillest mods comparatively to all the other atheist lives. But this right here was inspired by Chris Mallard. It's the 10 Commandments for Dogs. Okay, and goddamn, this was a banger. This was a fucking banger, dude.
All right. Can y'all see?
Yeah.
Can you? Okay, that's good.
To pull his commandments for dogs out the ethers, and I'm going to give that to you now. Okay. The 10 commandments for dogs from Yahweh. 1, thou shalt circle, may not lay, while he both circles and lays comfortably. 2, thou shalt sniff, but may not nibble, while he both sniffs and nibbles comfortably. 3, thou shalt kill any who both circles and lays. 4, thou shalt kill any who both sniffs and nibbles. 5, if thou is seen not killing any who both circle and lay, or who both sniff and nibble. He or she, both young and old, shall surely be killed. 6. He who circles may not lay. 7. He who lay may not circle. 8. He who sniffs may not nibble. 9. He who nibbles may not sniff. 10. The great one is the greatest great one. Any who say otherwise shall surely be killed. So saith the great one, who both circles and lays, who both sniffs and nibbles. Trust me, bro. Trust me. You're welcome, motherfuckers.
That is funny.
Hey, kids of the 80s. This is your brain on drugs. Oh!
That was a perfect segue.
Yeah, that was perfect, bro.
Dude, nice. We're doing great so far. We're at 1 hour and 10 minutes. And what I was going to do is, if anybody needs to use the restroom, I was going to play another one of your videos. If that's
Oh, okay. Well, let me pick it then. Just do one of my poems. Do one of my poems. The first one you come to, it should be eternally blessed in the darkest light. I like that one.
Tell me where.
All right. Keep going. Keep going. All right, right there. And it's that first one, yeah. And you can do
From
the
ashes of
couple right
belief
there.
I rise, casting light where bright shadows reside. Knowledge, my weapon, temple, my mind, eternally blessed in the darkest light. From nothingness to infinity we see. We regress unto eternity, we free. Perception of perfection bleeds the lost needs. We were always left in deception and defection, infects the perpetual resurrection. We were always left in. From tragedy of life I find the comedy of less sins lost in time. From the blasphemy of free will I'm blind to see the invisible lines painting my mind. From the depths of dark comes light. From the death of wrong comes right. To create the start of life. To remake the art of true lies. I am the brightest night. I am the darkest light. And I am ascending, as are we all. The dark light is upon you. Step into Dane's world. From the ashes of belief I rise, casting dark light where bright shadows reside. Knowledge, my weapon, temple, my mind, eternally blessed in the darkest light. From nothingness to infinity we see. We regress unto eternity we free.
Thank you, Witch Doctor.
I got to turn mine off. There
Thank
we
you,
go.
Witch Doctor.
Sorry,
Hey,
I
and I
got a cup of coffee while I was doing that.
But, well, fuck yeah. Well, yeah, I don't mind listening to it on repeat, but most because I'm narcissistic, and that's a bomb. Those are bomb ass bars. But okay, so that was going to segue us into these 10 commandments right here, and I'm going to be debunking the 10 commandments. And I was really hoping to have someone on here that was actually upholding the 10 commandments to push back on me a little bit, but I'm pretty sure you guys will agree with most of this right here. But I still wanted to send it around the council. After each one, just agree or disagree. Okay, pretty much. All right. So, thou shalt have no other gods before me. Okay. Now, and this point is going to be relevant for the first 5, because the first 4 or 5 commandments is all about suck my dick because I told you to, because I'm your Lord. You know. So, this commandment expresses jealousy. The actual one true creator is intrinsically interwoven into all things, and therefore has nothing to be jealous of. All divinity is his divinity, so there is nothing to be jealous over, pretty much. So, okay, Lou, agree? Your thoughts? What do you think about that commandment?
Totally disagree. And the jealousy thing, certainly one of my pet peeves. I mean, if you are, just even trying to understand being, all that and a bag of chips, like, the Abrahamic God claims to be. I mean,
Well,
why in the world haven't
especially when they sprinkle in there the all-loving shit, you know? I'm talking about the followers of Abraham. So how can you possibly be all-loving and all jealous like that? And not only that, but that goes back to if you are a perfect creator, but see, right off the bat, followers of Abraham like to divide the perfect. They like to interject, separation. They like to. So yeah, that one doesn't make sense to me right there at all. Thou shalt not make unto thee graven images. I got some good ones on this. Okay, so the cross and Bible, the Star of David and Torah, the Muslim moon, they probably got some word for it, but the crescent moon for the Muslims, and the Quran, those are all idols, okay? They are idols because that is the conduit through which they see their connection to divinity. That's why those things are idols, because we don't need those little trinkets. We don't need those books for our divinity. If the one true creator is a perfect creator, then he has a perfect connection to all of his creations, and therefore all we have to do is go within for our connection to the one true creator. And when you are putting the emphasis on these books right here and saying, no, this is the only true word of God right here, at that point, you are separating those words from all other words in creation, and you are making that an idol. Okay, I hope you're listening there at Ava Torah Judaism, and that's a guy I follow. I'm hoping he's listening at least. But so I asked him before. I'm like, okay, how do you define idol? And he gave me his Jewish definition, which not miraculously or surprisingly excluded the Torah. But so that's my definition of an idol. Anything that you think that you need that is outside of yourself to bring you divinity, and their holy books are absolutely that. And actually, here, let me show you guys. I'm going to do a little ritual towards the end right here, and I'm saving it towards the end. I didn't have money to go out and buy all the books, and I don't really want to give them money anyway. But these are representations, okay? But we're just going to use our imagination and say these are representations of the Bible. I'm going to burn the Quran. I'm going to burn the Christian Bible, and I'm going to burn the Jewish Torah right here for everyone. Okay. Hey, and guess what? That's all they needed to want to kill me. But I'm making the point of it. They were wanting to kill me before that anyway, so why the fuck wouldn't I? And check it out. I didn't want to burn none of their fucking holy books until I just heard about them killing some guy up there in Northern Europe somewhere for burning a Quran. Okay, so you know what happens, you fuckers, when you go to burn the Quran, or when you kill someone for burning the Quran. Now I want to burn the Quran. You think that scared me? Oh, now I don't want to burn it. No, now instead of me not wanting to burn it, that took me to wanting to burn it. Okay, so I'm just letting you guys know, America's different, y'all. Y'all gonna find out America's fucking different. We're not just gonna capitulate to your fucking tyranny. I mean, I'm not saying that we don't capitulate to no tyranny, period, but that kind of circles around to a good point, which is people do not, or people accept the criticism and the enforcement from those who they accept as their own people. Okay, so actually your own people, and you can look it up statistically, are the ones most responsible for hurting you. All right, because those are the ones that you will accept admonishment from. So let me see here. So we were talking about. So I showed how they are idol worshipers. Now, guys, I don't hold it against you that you do worship the idol. Okay, so I'm not like y'all. Where in your scriptures you will kill someone for that, but I don't have scriptures like that. And I'm talking to the followers of Abraham. I don't have scriptures like that demanding me to kill you. All of my actions are defensive. That they are reactionary to y'all's offense. Okay, and then you guys want to act like you're the fucking victims, and I just want to make it clear that the fuck you are. All right, so we are getting right here, and this is I wanted to have a Jew, a Muslim, and a biblical Christian up here with me. No one had the balls. I know it's a new podcast, so it's going to take people seeing that I'm serious about talking about this. This is the This is the theology council. All right. And I just want to start talking about it. The only way we're going to get through this as a society is talk about it. No one's talking about these things, which is why I know I'm going to blow up. So, and I don't care about blowing up. I care about getting a message out, because the message is the dark light. We are all the dark light. Okay. Thou shalt not take the name of God in vain. Number 3. So once again, this commandment expresses jealousy. God, anyway, God isn't even a name; it's a label. The actual one true Creator owns all names and words ever spoken. So there is nothing that could possibly be taken in vain. There is no vanity within a perfect creation. So, and that's fine. Followers of Abraham, just quit claiming that your God is perfect. Okay, quit claiming that your God is perfect, and I'll quit coming after you for it. But if you are claiming that your God is perfect, then in a perfect creation, there would be no separation. There would be no vanity. There is no vanity. The only vanity is, y'all wanting everyone to suck y'all's dick. That's pretty much it. Theologically speaking, not literally. And I know you guys love to play those, literal or not games. So, and I'm talking to followers of Abraham right there. So if he is a perfect creator, then all of creation is as well perfect. Thus, nothing within creation is in vain. If there is true vanity within creation, then there is no one true creator. Okay, y'all's thoughts on that?
Well, on the idolatry thing.
Yep.
When I was an evangelical and I was praying and contemplating God, you can't help but have some sort of a picture in your mind, right? I mean, you're not picturing nothing.
Well,
normally.
we don't know what nothing looks like.
So
but we've only seen things. You can't. I don't know. Maybe if you're a Buddhist monk or something, and you sit there, getting in a nothingness state. But yeah, I know what you're saying. Go ahead.
When you're picturing something, whether it be an old man with a beard, or the Father, Son, and Holy Ghost sitting in big chairs, whatever it is you're contemplating in your own mind, imagining.
I think a lot of people can relate to that.
And that would be idolatry, I suppose, right? I mean, you're putting an image onto the divine, right? And I would say that's done all the time. And the same thing, what you said, wearing a cross or a relic or, of course.
Or worshiping these books like they do. They worship those books. They all do. And check it out. Christians love to make this point. They're like talking to the Muslims. They're like, your miracle is a book. Our miracle is a person. Our miracle was a person and is a living God. Right. I'm like, okay, but the only information that you accept about your miracle, that person, is in that book. So they're just passing that buck to make sure, or they're making it seem like they're better than Muslims in some way. But in actuality, their miracle is their book too, because the only information they accept about their Jesus is in that book. They don't accept any other information outside of that book. Unless it corroborates what's in that book. Any information that disproves it or something, they throw that out, cherry picking, throw it out, the baby with the bathwater and all.
Now, when you're praying, let's say to Jesus, which I used to do, you do picture him. I mean, at least I did.
Yeah.
Right? I would picture him in my mind as like wearing a white robe, being a, generic looking guy with long hair and a little nose coming out like a Mediterranean type nose.
Yeah.
But that could be seen as idolatry, because I'm putting an image on Jesus, right? I mean,
no, that is an interesting point that I never thought of. I never thought about that. Well, I never thought of it because I was never there. I was raised different. I did. Luckily, thank God I was raised pagan, because I never had to deal with that Abrahamic shit as a kid. My mom was cool as fuck,
Well, people make Jesus, I think, in their own minds look a little different, right? You have, some basic concepts that seem somewhat universal, like white robes and stuff,
Yeah.
Like I think people see Jesus in their minds as, having a shiny presence, glowing with a white robe. At least that's how I used to picture Jesus. But that's idolatry right there, in my understanding of it.
Yeah.
You know, when I think about
which
Jesus,
doctor?
I think about him with this magic wand. I haven't talked about it a lot on this show, but
Oh no, go for it.
We look at the artwork, So
No, that's your thing. This is something Witch Doctor gets at. Witch Doctor likes to get into a lot of the ancient texts, and he'll go over stuff like this on his channel. I'm not big into the ancient text stuff. That's a different kind of content. But if you guys are into that sort of thing, Witch Doctor's cool as fuck, man. Go check him out. Check out Brooklyn Lou. He just posted one of the funniest fucking shorts I've seen all fucking year, man. I don't know. That was right up there with my 10 Commandments, funny wise. Go ahead, Witch Doctor.
And so when I touching on what Lou was saying, praying to Jesus and stuff, I never would have thought that years ago when I was an atheist and I was starting to do entheogens, I would have never thought that I would have ever seen him in a vision, because yeah. And then this one time I saw this female Jesus.
Now, was this a different? Was this a different circumstance from the African snake lady? Was this a different?
This was,
or was that the same?
This was, I don't know how to explain this. So if you look on different hieroglyphs in different ancient civilizations, you'll see helicopters carved into the walls, spaceship looking things, boats, hovercraft looking things.
Oh yeah.
And I almost wonder if I was just foreshadowing learning about this. And I had never thought about that concept until I read this book, Hermaphrodites, Gynomorphs, and Jesus.
Yeah.
And when I started to actually do the research into the artwork, I realized that other artists have been theorizing this for 2,000 years. And believe it or not, the rib spear for Jesus was actually, according to some of these different artists, they were saying that that was a vaginal transformation in that very Greek poetic way that they read stuff is, how they kind of blur the lines between male and female with this worshiper. That Jesus has posters of Dionysus on his wall. So I wasn't surprised to find a theory like that, about a really feminine guy who ran his little practice with women, like Elaine Pagels is sort of mentioning, or the Catacombs of Priscilla, and all these freaking women everywhere. There's women everywhere. And so I don't know if I've ever really thought about him before that, and I've never really prayed before. But when you mentioned that in the Jesus with the white robe, I was just going to show two other versions of Jesus that I had never really thought of before, which was the feminine Jesus that other people had talked about. It makes you wonder just how much that particular Abrahamic movement, it just makes you wonder how much of that's been sort of a post-event creation, Well,
that kind of gets into a topic that I wanted to touch on a little bit, which was how movements get co-opted. You will have protest and movements, okay? They will totally get co-opted, and I think Christianity was one of them. They got co-opted. That's part of the game plan of the elite who craft society. They will notice some motion, right? Some civil unrest, that's called motion, and then they will manipulate that motion and take it to where they want to go. And then in the process, the people think, oh, we're the ones that did it, but all of a sudden they took a fucking I wouldn't call it a sharp right turn, but they took a little slight turn that was somewhere that they didn't originally intend, but they just got kind of shepherded into it. And that's been happening all throughout time in order to manipulate society is something that we need to consider. I'd like to get into our next commandment right here, honor your father and mother. Okay, but in practice, only fathers and mothers who follow Abrahamic theology are to be honored. If you're a father or mother of a different a religion, then no, we got to kill your ass. You know what I'm saying? So obviously that doesn't extend to all fatherhood or motherhood, which is another clue that Yahweh can't possibly be that's not perfect justice right there, because they are not equally allocating the fatherhood and motherhood. They are only acknowledging certain fatherhood and motherhood under that principle right there. Okay, so all other fathers and mothers who deny Abrahamic theology are to be killed. So they aren't respecting the other religions or preceding. They definitely, okay, Christianity isn't respecting their parent religion, Judaism, because they have changed it and twisted their original doctrine so much. So yeah, so I'm just coming at it from different angles, showing how they are, Yahweh, the Yahweh Jesus and actual prime Yahweh both violate this commandment right here, because a prime Yahweh is saying he's not honoring his father who didn't make any demands of him. Yahweh is not the one true creator. All right. Yahweh is not the actual one true creator, as evidenced by his jealousy and his inability to lead by example, because the best father ever, even a good father, leads by example. Okay. If you don't lead by example, you are a shitty father, and everyone knows that. So the best father ever would not be breaking his own commandments. The fact that Yahweh breaks every single one of his commandments proves that he can't possibly be the one true creator. So Yahweh is said to be the all father, the best possible father. Well, fuck, I keep preempting my notes. So I guess I know my material then. So what do you guys feel about that one right there?
It's actually a great topic. Lou, do you have any thoughts on that before I ramble on? Because I can sometimes.
Yeah,
the witch doctor's awesome at talking.
I do actually. It brings to mind to me some biblical passages, and that I now see big contradictions in. There is, honor your father and mother, but Jesus also taught that you might have to hate your father and mother.
No, he said something. He said something like, "You're gonna have to hate your family if you love me," or some shit like that, right?
Yes. So that commandment is only if your father and mother are on the same page as you are, is the way it seems to be, because Jesus says, he came to divide. And he came to divide families, right? So that division kind of contradicts this honor your father and mother thing.
Yep.
And realistically, in the way I think is, yeah, you should honor your father and mother, of course. But I mean, if they're abusing you, you can't just honor that, right?
Right.
Well, you should only honor honor. If they're you should only honor them if they're being honorable. If they are not being honorable, then they are not deserving of your honor, and that's kind of how that works.
Yeah, and I just see those like commandments like that as being, it's not taken into consideration the nuance that actually is in real life.
Yeah, and I see that as just another kind of guilting, and that's part of their manipulation right there. That's part of their manipulation. But that's definitely a good subject, and that's great responses. What you got, Witch Doctor?
Well, okay, so there is a couple of topics here. So when it comes to Abraham and Yahweh, the way that Francesca Stavrakopoulou puts it. Now, she's the author of God and Anatomy, which I think a lot of atheists would love this book because it looks at God through the years and how he went from being a devilish deity with a sizable erection to what we have now, or whatever rendition of that. And even in the beginning of the book, it has what people perceive God to look like. And oddly enough, the average person saw a dude that looks like me, which makes no sense considering all the artwork we've looked at has been a bunch of gray bearded men. Although in the BC, before the Common Era, we saw some different things. You know, we saw, like I always talk about the Albertini wedding, and the god Hymen's there in a purple sindon wrapped around his waist, if you will, you know, and you see a lot of artwork and symbolism that was I mean, sort of like younger gods. You know, you got Dionysus, you got these younger people, you know, and I was surprised to see that. But Yahweh is a Mesopotamian god. Yahweh is originally from Sumer, or from Mesopotamia, if you will, that area from if you will. So when this guy from Baghdad or Iraq decides to come over to the promised land 2000 BC, which is absolutely zero evidence of any of this stuff happening whatsoever. It just makes me think that there was a popular god at the time named Yahweh, and that just became where this Abraham, this Abraham guy, these dudes writing in that 8,000 word chicken scratch ancient Greek, this land of Canaan had great weather for agriculture. They had great weather, you know what I'm saying? It was, you could grow anything there. It's compared to some other climates that people have come from.
Okay, well, when Yahweh first burst on the scene, he was a desert storm war god. Okay, and he was competing. Huh?
He has a dad.
Yahweh.
L.
Yeah. But well, I don't have as deep a knowledge as you. I'm just giving my I'm brushing on it what I know about it. And he was competing with Baal, who was also a desert storm war god. So that's why even to this day, whenever they say Baal, they like to associate that with the devil, because that was the one that was competing with Yahweh, who had super similar powers. From my little research on it. I'm sorry, Doctor. Go ahead.
Yeah, no, you're good. And so we are borrowing a god from another place, and we're slowly chaptering out all the other ones. And this simplifies in what we talked about earlier, unity. Now, instead of, the Trojans, they worship the sun god, and we worship Dionysus. So it's going to be absolute war just 6 miles away. So I hate to say it, but it sort of generalized the population's perspective on that. And that's where the evolution of the religion leading into there being a son of the God of the Old Testament being sort of the son of the Old Testament. It's sort of that's sort of an evolving concept also. But the reason why Christianity took off afterwards is because it wasn't another God. This was a hybrid. Even though we'd seen hybrids before, we saw hybrids when there was dozens of gods. Now there's one God, and this is the hybrid son, right? So it seems like they figured out how to eliminate the diversity and to unify. However, here comes the other opposing force. It's the never-ending cycle of life. Here comes the other force. But Yahweh, it's sort of irrelevant because knowing that he had a dad and came from a polytheistic structure before, it kind of takes away the legitimacy of what Yahweh even is and stuff. However, I think at the time he was a popular god, and that just ended up being the right click in the algorithm, and that's the one. It could have been who knows if the writers were just different. It could have been Baal, and for the last 3,000 years or whatever, we could have been calling Baal the guy in charge, and it could have had the same exact outcome regardless of the name that they called the dude, because it's all a construct. It's all
I think anytime you try to have a set name for especially the construct of the one true creator, because that is a label, what I'm calling it. That is not a name, that is a label. And there's different labels that you could give it, but you can never name it. It doesn't have a name like all the followers of Abraham keep insisting upon. And that is a clue that they are worshiping a inaccurate perception of the one true creator. And that's they are a blood cult. It is written into all of their scriptures that we must be killed if we do not capitulate to those scriptures. They say as soon as we, and it's in there, man. And of course, I will say if they're not all fanatics. I'm not saying all Muslims are bad, murderous, raping people. Same with all Jews are not bad, murderous, raping people, even though that's in their scripture. All Christians are not bad, murderous, raping people, even though that's in their scripture, but that they are good people in spite of their scriptures and not because of them. Just because you have a couple good scriptures in there doesn't invalidate all the bad shit for me personally. Are you guys ready to get into the next one, or do you got anything more on this one?
Yeah. What's the next one?
All right. Okay, so now we're getting into the easy, the juicy stuff. Thou shalt not kill. Yet the penalty for breaking the commandments is to be killed, for one. So it's a built-in contradictions. And here's some examples of Yahweh killing and ordering his followers to kill. And I just kind of paraphrase them. I don't have the whole scriptures right here, but Genesis 6:17, the flood, which was a genocide. Genesis 19:24-25, which was firebombing Sodom and Gomorrah. Exodus 12:29, killing the firstborn of Egypt. Deuteronomy 20:16-17, commands his followers to annihilate 6 tribes, including children, and steal their land. That was the Canaanite conquest. Numbers 16:32-33, rebellion of Korah, where he annihilated Korah. So that was another genocide. So thou shalt not kill. And me and Lou have had this conversation a little bit. You want to give us your thoughts on thou shalt not kill, Lou?
I mean, my thoughts are it's a good idea not to murder. I mean, this is to me common to humanity, but the kill part, obviously, again, even that, which everyone generally would agree we shouldn't walk around murdering other people. But hey, still,
I will ask you this. Can you think of any situation in which you would kill someone? Because I'll just come out and say, yeah, I can think of situations where I would go out there and kill a motherfucker.
Yeah,
but I will also say to me that a murder is sacred and it should not be taken transiently. And if you ever go out with the intent to kill, you should in turn expect to die. But that being said, it's the obvious. Like someone kidnaps your kid and kills them, you're gonna hunt that motherfucker down and string him up. I would. Yeah, I damn sure would.
Even something as pretty.
I know Stephen would.
It's still nuanced, So the command is still not. It's not enough, really, just to say "Thou shalt not kill." Right? You need more to it than that.
Oh, hey, don't worry. Because I've been watching that dude, Ava Torah Judaism, and he every single day he's dropping multiple scriptures, and he's got, man, it just cracks me up. They got whole books on how to kill, when it's murder, and when it's not. It's really funny. It's hilarious. I'll sit there and listen to him, and I'll just be cracking up during the whole video. I've even made a reaction about it where he's just for 20 minutes straight giving reasons to kill people. It was fucking hilarious. but my biggest thing, and I was just pointing out the hypocrisy of it. Thou shalt not kill. Yeah, they are a blood cult. Thou shalt not kill, but bathe in the blood of anyone who doesn't suck your Yahweh dick or your Jesus dick or your Allah dick.
And of course, Yahweh himself kills, but that's they can justify that because he brought you in and he'll bring you out, right?
Well, hey, they can attempt to justify that, but they will never justify that to me, to my face, in the conversation, because I'll stop them right in their tracks and say, actually, no. I don't agree with that notion because And I'll just hit it again, but the actual one true creator is the perfect creator, and he would lead by example, not by hypocrisy. See what I'm saying? Just because he would have the power to kill someone doesn't mean that he would. He is the source of intellect. Okay, if the one true creator is perfect, he is the source of intellect and wisdom, and he knows that his creations are going to be smart and wise because they are perfect creations taking after him. So therefore, just like a good father, if he knows he's got a smart ass son watching him at every little thing he does, he knows that he better be doing exactly the things that he's telling his son to do. You see what I'm saying? And then this is where Christians will say, "Oh, you're thinking about it too much. You can't know God. You can't know God." But to them, they expect you to know certain things about God. But when you start asking too many questions and starting to sound too smart, then all of a sudden you can't know God's mind.
Right.
Well, you know what I'm saying? They have got like a double-edged sword thing. They try to play with that bullshit.
Yeah, and it would be an abusive father who would
Yes.
say, I brought you into this world, and now, whenever I decide I'm going to take your life. I mean, that whole concept is abusive, really.
Okay. Now people might ask, okay, well, Dane, how do you feel about death? And that goes to nature. Nature is cannibalistic. Good luck, motherfucker. The life is what you make it. That's why you better do something with it. Whose program are you running on? Are you running on your own program or someone else's program? Is something everyone has to stop and evaluate at some point. What you got for us on the thou shalt not kill witch doctor?
Well,
Okay. Well, first off, can you think of situations in which you would kill someone and not miss a night's sleep over it? That's a juicy question. Come on now.
Well, as a gunner on a truck in
sorry. He's like, well, I sleep pretty good already, and I got some in the notch. So
no, it all stays with you, even if you're getting shot at.
Yeah.
And a lot of soldiers have to deal with PTSD because I don't know. I guess I never agreed with Christians thinking that like without the 10 Commandments or not Christians, but even Jews or whatever, but without the 10 Commandments that people would be running around murdering everybody. It just seems a little ridiculous that they
well especially when
credit for the pyramids being built. It's just such a big claim that's just out of your ass that if it weren't for that, we're going to be throwing spears into each other, and all religions did was kill each other and kill people for, the entire time that they were around, especially once an army or an empire gets a hold of the religion. But you don't need a list of commandments to know what. So I'm just going to hypothetically just tell a story. If you are clearing houses in Iraq and you kill a dude that was shooting at you and you hear his wife start to scream, you're going to hear that every night of your life. And so you don't need some book to convince you that that was bad. You're going to feel it. And if you don't feel it, then you have some issues.
Yeah.
And that's a sticky situation you don't ever want to be in. I know cops have to deal with shooting sometimes, and even sometimes other jobs. I don't think you need a religion to tell you that. And I think we can all grow up and acknowledge that a lot of the killing that we see nowadays, whether it would be true or if it was to be made up, it's all done politically. So however it happens and wherever the stories come from and wherever the numbers of dead people come from, I just think it's sad that countries will go to war so that the politicians that run those countries can make a bunch of money while they're in office.
Yeah.
And they're investing into all the things that make them money, which is typically different war stocks, different options like Lockheed and Raytheon and stuff like that.
Yeah, there's money in murder.
Conspiracy, dude, to the max. It's just, I used to work for a guy we're going to talk about later, doing executive protection for them and an entire half of the United States Congress. And I had to get out of that world because all these people that wear these crosses around their necks and go in and pretend to be so invested mentally into something going on, keep throwing money into war, knowing it's killing people. And there's other people trying to kill people too. I get, that's an onion we're not going to break open, but I don't think that we need a religion to tell us that that's not good. And are there situations where I wouldn't feel bad about it? If I haven't personally, knock on wood, had a situation in the States where somebody like broke into my house and was putting me in a situation where I would need to do that. Overseas, I got into some stuff, but that's a little different because when I was 20, I didn't know really what I was doing, and so I try not to really take that stuff into consideration. But now at 37, I would really hate to do it. But if somebody was coming in to hurt anybody in any situation, as long as I knew I wasn't about to put myself in jail and ruin my kids' lives by not being in their lives. As long as
I would say in defense, I think most people wouldn't feel too bad if they had to kill someone in defense. If it's me or you, I'm not, and that kind of gets into something we're going to talk about later. It's something a bit more controversial. So we're going to be getting into something like that later. But any second thoughts, Lou, or anything else? Next one.
Next.
All right. Thou shalt not commit adultery. So here we go. Genesis. And I'm just going to do my last one first because let me see here. Okay. Going along with the Christian story, right? Yahweh did not marry Mary, Jesus, his mother, did he? You don't hear about Yahweh and Mary, do you? Therefore, Yahweh did not marry Mary. That way, when he impregnated Mary, that was adultery. Boom, niggas! Woo! Oh, okay. I've been waiting to drop that one. Okay. So now we're just going to get into some of the biblical shit right there. But Genesis 16, 1-4. Abraham is adulterous with his wife, with his wife's slave. We got 2 Samuel 17, 7-8. David engages in polygamy and covets other men's wives and land. This is adultery and coveting, and is approved by Yahweh. So here, Hosea 1:2, Yahweh commands Hosea to marry an adulterous prostitute. So he's approving of adultery right there. So Kings 11, 1-3, Solomon had 700 wives and 300 hoes. All right, so clearly Yahweh approves of adultery.
The king and I.
Now, if you're asking me personally, I'm all about that super monogamy thing, but also I won't date a girl that don't eat pussy. I don't date a girl that don't eat pussy and that don't take it in the ass. I'm going on 10 years right now. I don't give a flying fuck. I can outwait you. Like I know what I'm waiting for, and if it don't ever knock on my door, I don't ever give a fuck. And if something else knocks on my door, I'll tell it to fuck right the fuck off, But I hear some of them atheists down there laughing at me. Oh, Dane, you're just an incel. No, an incel is involuntarily celibate. I am voluntarily celibate because I have had offers that I've turned down, so that makes me voluntarily celibate because they weren't the offers I've been waiting for. All right, so I do believe in true love, and I've been waiting for it. And I don't even know it, dude. It's been over 10 years. It's got to be like 12 years or something. I used to like to lie to myself and tell me it's been less than 10, but it's got to be over 10 by now, to be honest. But okay, you guys got anything else on that, or?
Adultery to me is religious and social constructs. I mean, it's something that societies generally agree on, or they go by a religious text. That's my only thing to say about that.
I haven't. So I haven't ever committed that, and it's never happened to me as far as I know. But I have, when I was younger, I was a different person, and I actually.
Well, let's be honest, Witch Doctor. Who the fuck would cheat on that? Let's be honest.
I've been cheated on, even at the height of my my bodybuilding career. It's a very brief story. I'll say it for content.
Yes, sir.
I got cheated on, and I was a 31-year-old bodybuilder. I was doing good in bodybuilding, but I was a 31 bodybuilder that worked at the gym and just didn't. I chose to be broke and not have my life together.
Yeah.
And so when you're dating all these fitness models and stuff, I mean, there's guys out there that look pretty much just as good as you, and they have a lot of money. And unfortunately, some people can kind of get swayed by a lack of performance in financial areas. So at the time, I felt like a loser. What's ironic about this is that right when this particular girl cheated on me and I finally figured it out, I actually was real calm. I had just lost my granddad and I took it really hard. But little did this girl know that I had been offered a job to do security for the current president of the fucking United States. And so I said, you know what? I thought that if I just looked really good, being a fat kid growing up, I was like, oh yeah, well, if I look really good, I can get whatever girlfriend I want. Well, that's not true. You have to do other things that men have to do, or else you're asking to have issues with a female counterpartner. Now, if you're by yourself and you're a bachelor, then it doesn't matter what you do. You're on your own. But if you're asking to have a female counterpartner and you're neglecting yourself financially, there's going to be a lot of guys, you know, offering to fly you out somewhere. And
especially these days, you know, the Instagram.
Also, yeah. And so I felt like a loser. And I hit up my friend. It's actually a female who's also a fitness model. I hit her up. She was on the team and she had offered me a job. And I said, hey, I need to get out of here. I moved my stuff into a friend's house. It was an Army dude I met at the gym I was working at. But I let the gym owner know what was going on, and he was so supportive. It's Bill Robinson. He owns the Crunch Fitness in Columbia, South Carolina. One of the greatest guys I've ever met. He looks like the Paul Hollywood from the Great British Baking Show. And he said, dude, I'm proud of you, man. And this was right during that really uncomfortable time where everybody had to wear masks. So I was even my equilibrium was off every day. I felt, you know, when you wake up from a nap and like it just feels weird. You're like, God, I'm all thrown off. That's what it felt like every day for me. My granddad died. My girlfriend cheated on me. Now I'm living in some dude's house. And next thing you know, I'm on an airplane to go do security. But I told myself that I would work on that aspect of myself, because the last thing I wanted to have happen to me, because it had happened, was I was like,
you just let him out.
It doesn't matter how good I look, someone might get tired of this, and if they're going to be a dirtbag, then there's nothing you can do, but you're going to pay a price. So it made me look at life a little bit differently. But I also think it was sort of this, and brings us back to sort of the God conversation some, and it's almost over. But it sort of felt like karma, because a long time ago, I couldn't work things out with my little girl's mom, and it led me to go seek attention from other people during a pregnancy. It was so bad before we got pregnant, and then during the pregnancy, it was really bad. And then, you know, afterwards it was tough, you know, and now everything is great as far as the relationship with her mom.
Well, I was going to say, how long have you been with your wife currently?
Almost 3 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And you got a little boy coming?
Yeah. So I have a 13-year-old daughter from I wasn't ever married to her mom, but it was a military baby. She's a war baby. And then when I got married to my wife, I ended up adopting, in a way, my stepson. So he and I have been together for the last 3 years. Every morning, you know, his mom, my wife is a microbiologist, so she works at the hospital, and I run a landscaping business. And before this, I ran UFC here in Fort Worth. And so I was always taking the kids to school, and it finally happened. And my little girl's mom kind of set out on a revenge path after she was born. and I don't really want to say it, but I'll say it for effect. She got married to my best friend in the Army, and I was out of the Army now, but he was still in.
Oh.
And they got stationed in Germany right after they got married. And so next thing you know, my daughter's 2, and she's going to Germany, and then to the next duty station, then the next duty station, then the next duty station. You know, he went to teach Ranger School down in Florida, so they were in Destin, Florida, which is really expensive. Moral of the story is I wasn't able to follow them around every 3 years. And so when it comes to the topic of adultery, I will never do that to anyone after the price I paid for doing that.
Yeah. So you've been there and you saw that it wasn't worth it pretty much, but from the sound of it,
the karma paid me back by having someone cheat on me at the worst time.
Yeah.
And then just everything I went through with my little girl's mom, we get along fine now. But there's these revenge years right afterwards, you know, and that's when everybody's going to court and they typically take you through the ringer. And I managed to avoid that, but it was hard. So needless to say, I'll never do that again, and never did. You know, after that particular person, I don't know what it was, the chemistry was off. But we loved each other, and I was going to war, and it just leads to another. One thing leads to another.
Me personally, I have never cheated, but I have been cheated on by almost every single girl I've ever loved and dated. So that's kind of what that's kind of what made me so dedicated to just wait for true love. Because I'm like, well, obviously none of them girls was ever the right one for me to begin with. So, and I've just told, and I'm serious, I will stay single the rest of my fucking life unless I find true love. If I don't find it, then that's just God up there laughing at me. Better luck next time, because I do believe in reincarnation. Maybe this wasn't the lifetime for love with someone else. Maybe this was the lifetime just to sit here and do my notes and fucking do me, you know. But it's whatever. Now, what you got, Lou? You ever been cheated on, Lou?
I've done both. I've experienced both. I've been cheated on, and I have cheated. So
yeah.
It's been both ways.
Yeah.
Right. It did impact the way I see relationships, because I don't see it in that traditional way anymore. I think cheating on someone is dishonoring your word. All right. I think that there is open relationships that can work very well.
Yeah, if it's agreed upon.
Yeah, you know, where people are not hurt, where they actually, you know, have win-win situations.
Yeah.
So I think relationships have to be tailored right for the people involved in them.
Yeah. Well, see, and that's part of our society today, which is getting into a little bit of the sprinkling some cultural stuff, because our next half is going to be all cultural. But they want to manipulate the perception of people in order to break up families. They're trying to destroy the very concept of true love. They are trying to push a culture of whoreism, I would call it. And I hear the females in the object. Oh, what do you mean whore? Okay, well, when I say whore, I'm talking about all genders, all 100 of them. It's not gender specific. So if you're just not you, Lou, but someone listening, if I say whore and you get offended, that reflects more on you than it does on me, because I'm not even talking about you if you're all getting personally offended by that. And I'm just putting that out there for the Karens that's going to watch this later. Add a little spice to it, but you guys ready?
One thing I learned that helped me a lot moving forward, you know, trying to become a better person. I made a vow to myself not to deceive women at all anymore.
Yeah.
You know, there was a time when I like I said, I have cheated, and I've also been cheated on. So I went, you know, I've seen, and cheating on someone is a terrible thing to me. All right. So not something I would ever be proud of at all.
Well, right? see, check it out. If you want, that's why I say I won't ever date a girl that don't eat pussy. That's exactly why I say that. And you got to be straight up about that. You'd be like, there's girls out there that like that like to eat pussy. I mean, you just got to find them.
And that's what I'm saying. I don't
And if you really want a little, if you really want something else on the side, you just keep it all up front. You know, keep it honest. There's no point in lying and hiding about shit. You got to be honest with people about what you want up front. You know,
what I've learned, and it's worked well for me over the last decade, is I don't lie to women. I tell them exactly what I'm feeling. I set that up front in a relationship. Yep. You know, that, hey, I'm going to tell you what I'm thinking. And if I'm thinking of another woman, I'll tell you. Okay?
Well, communication is key to any relationship.
Of another man, you tell me. You know, everything is in the open. And I have a monogamous relationship right now.
Yeah.
And that's cool. And I don't have anything against monogamy. But I don't think monogamy is the only viable relationship you can have.
Yeah. So I feel like it's either you got to be single or you have to be monogamous. But I see a lot of drama in polyamory.
I don't even know enough people into that shit. You know, that's not my theme.
Like sister wives with Mormon religion.
I would take 2. That's it. Just give me 2. I'll be good.
And
I'm not trying to do 3, 4, 10. None of that. Just give me 2.
I'm not into polyamory because that's more like what you might see on TV. You know, like
Lou, let me put it to you this way. Let me put it to you this way, Lou. And I'm going to be a classless heathen here. All right, Lou. Yes or no? Would you like one sitting on your face and one sitting on your dick at the same time? Yes, no.
Of course.
Why
not?
Okay then. Okay.
Well, yeah, but does he
Witch
want
doctor? Yes or no?
Fuck no, because tomorrow they're going to be fighting over me, and I don't want to deal with that shit.
No. I'm not talking about. I'm not talking about slut fucking 2 of them. I'm talking about married 2 of them. You know, I'm just saying. I can't say that I'm not against polygamy because I want to. You know, I'm just saying. Just put my skin in the game.
A human real life clone of my wife.
Yeah.
If a fembot like on Austin Powers and just turn her on at night and turn her off and put her in the closet, sure. But do I want to handle 2 different emotional women at once? Fuck no.
It's like one's enough fucking problems.
One's enough.
I've come to think that the consensual part and the win-win part is
the honesty part is what matters.
Yeah.
You know, so like for me to deceive a woman now is a very dishonoring thing to do.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
But I'm not against, threesomes or anything that people may agree to.
Agree upon. And I'm sure you guys got kids and grandkids or whatever, and you try to teach them and tell them, hey man, you might think that it sounds cool and all, but don't cheat on them. Just be honest. You try to teach them your lessons that you learned that we just talked about.
Right.
You guys ready for the next one or?
Yeah.
All right. We're almost there on the theology stuff. Thou shalt not kill. No, thou shalt not steal. So we're going to go quickly through some scriptures right here. Exodus 3:21-22 commands followers to steal from Egyptians on their way out. Deuteronomy 6:10-11 commands followers to kill and steal all of the inhabitants of Canaan, take their land, take their houses and belongings. Joshua 6:19-21, the plunder of Jericho, commands followers to kill and steal, take everything from Jericho. Numbers 31, 9-11, plunder of Midian, commands followers to kill, steal, and rape all of Midian. So clearly, Yahweh approves of theft. Okay, clearly. So the biggest thing I want to pontificate is clearly Yahweh approves of these things, and that's for all the Christians that like to claim at their absolute morality based on the 10 Commandments. That was my biggest goal with the 10 Commandments today, is to display how, because my position is there's no such thing as absolute or objective morality. Any conception or construct that takes place in the mind is invariably subjective and relative to the mind observing it, right?
Right.
Yeah, and the Bible is a mass of contradictions. I mean,
Oh, yeah.
it just is.
Yeah, there's plenty in there.
Did you guys have anything else on the steel part?
No, it's just it's a mass of contradictions, you know, and ultimately the divine command theory becomes something that a lot of Christians and you know, Islamic people and Jewish people do fall into. But for me personally, that never made sense. It doesn't make sense now to me at all. You know, it's like, it's okay if the God tells you to do something, you know, then
well, they will use it arbitrarily. They will use it arbitrarily, and then they will, for me, they just use that as an arbitrary reason to take stuff when they want it. And for me, you know, verses like all these verses I'm going over here, guys. If we can just take the bad shit out the Bible and leave the rest, that's great. And I ask all you Christians and Jews out there that might still cling to some of these verses, will you disavow these verses? I'm not talking about the whole Bible. Just you keep the good stuff. Just disavow all these bullshit fucking verses right here, y'all. But you will say no because you know that if you do publicly disavow that these verses, that you will be killed by your own people, because you know deep down that your religion is a blood cult. That is why you guys will not disavow these verses. And so
it had some interesting practices upon its establishment, for sure. It had some interesting things.
Hey, I got to suck on something real quick, guys. They're sucking on it without me.
Right.
Can I get a little nug? You guys got a nug? What shit? Just a little nug. Yeah, just a little nug's cool. Thank you. Thank you. Hi. I had to get me a little nug, man. I'll hold them sucking on it in there without me, and I got jealous. If we're full disclosure, right here. Okay. Did you guys have anything else on the stealing part?
Stealing? Well, oh boy, it doesn't feel right to do it. So once again, you don't need the religion to tell somebody not to steal.
Yeah, exactly.
That was a bigger thing. I mean, it's still a big thing now today too, but it's just one of them things. I guess if a religion was trying to write a bunch of ground rules, that at the time, that definitely might have been one of the bigger things. What do you hear about? You know, like thieves, their hands getting cut off type situations. So,
And they're still doing that shit.
Deal to get you to stop doing it. Illegal. Yeah, religion's like a war. I used to all the time, and now I don't. So. But not to say that I couldn't. You know, my wife is pregnant. I'm not the one who's pregnant. I could, but it's a little, you know, I don't know.
I prefer not to steal. I definitely don't want to steal nothing. I don't like stealing, but at the same point, if I really fucking need something in a state of desperation, I just might have to take something without asking. That's the Viking in me. I'm being way too honest, y'all. I'm just saying, but I prefer to not be in a situation where I'm super desperate and I feel like I'd have to take something, you know?
When I was younger, I got in trouble for stealing cigarettes from a grocery store, and I had to pick up trash on the side of the road and stuff. And needless to say, I never really stole again, but it doesn't feel good to steal. Now, if there's a situation,
if we're doing confessionals, I used to steal candy bars my whole life, dude. And just about 2 years ago, I got caught stealing a candy bar at like fucking 38 years old. It was a situation where I wasn't, I didn't have money, and I already got away with taking a couple of them, but. The fat boy wanted a candy bar, and on that day they were on my ass, dude. And I'm like, God damn, dude, I can't be a fucking 37-year-old motherfucker taking candy bars.
Or like from a gas station.
And I've never took a candy bar since. That was just a little fat kid in me that just wouldn't die right there, but that did it for me. I'm like, they're not going to miss this little candy bar right here.
You were at a gas
Walmart.
station?
Walmart.
Yeah, my
The worst place to steal. They got way too many cameras, but
I ended up going into the Army, so I obviously had a really straight-laced life for a while. And, you know, after that, I turned into everything I am now, so I could say I didn't really steal anything other than just...
you know, it's called learning. You know, life is a learning curve.
Yeah, I definitely feel like I got more to learn, too.
Yeah.
I've definitely had my ego cracked a lot with all the...
Well, it's about the journey, you know? People are so worried about the destination, but it's about the journey. But and another thing we're going to be getting into, just to chum the waters for it later, but one of our things is what is your purpose and how do you define your purpose? And we're not going to answer that now. I'm just going to let that sit with y'all and sit with whoever's listening, because that's one of the most important topics. Because when you really sit and examine your purpose, that comes down to your beliefs and what you think. And once you really start examining that, because for me, my purpose is to let people know that there is another way to perceive the one true creator than that which followers of Abraham have offered us. And I will come out and say once again that Jesus, Yahweh, and Allah are desert war gods of hypocrisy. They are not the one true creator. And with that, we're going to get into our next commandment: thou shalt not bear false witness. Okay, and we have here Ezekiel 29, 10 to 11, false prophecy of Egypt being barren, you know, because that was a prophecy that Egypt would be barren, and it never was. And so Matthew 16, and see, I just started studying these scriptures in the last couple of years. All you guys know the scriptures better than me. You know, that's why I was asking the people in the damn show. I'm like, I really need help trying to get my shit together, because I'm about to be going head to head with some followers of Abraham. And I hope they see now that I'm serious, you know, maybe, well, at least you know your scriptures. You can help me out a little bit, Lou, shit, here and there. So we got Matthew 16:28, false prophecy of Jesus' resurrection. We got, because I don't believe in the resurrection. I know all kinds of Christians just heard that and they're like, oh, yeah, I don't believe in the resurrection. I believe in the resurrection of I believe in the Christ consciousness, and the resurrection of the Christ consciousness is pretty much everyone's ascension and awakening. But I do not believe in the physical resurrection of Jesus' body, like they were saying. So John 7:8-10, Jesus lies about going to the feast. He told his followers he wasn't going to go to the feast, but then he did go to the feast. And that's no problem if he's some average Joe. But when people are saying Jesus is the truth, the way, and the life, the only truth is Jesus. Well, if he was so perfectly truthful, that right there, it was a white lie, but it was still a fucking lie. Jeremiah 34:4-5, a false prophecy of King Zedekiah dying in peace, which he did not die in peace. Christians will say, well, he died in peace because, you know, he accepted Jesus. But that was another false prophecy right there. So Matthew 24:34, false prophecy about all of his. I can't read my writing. Another false prophecy, lying about being the actual one true creator, is the biggest lie, which is mine that I filled in at the bottom right there. So now, would you guys agree with my criticisms of their claim for thou shalt not bear false witness? What do you guys think about that commandment in relation to your life and whatnot?
Well, for me, that's I like that one because I think that you should try to keep your word, right? And I think that you should try to not talk shit about people, you know, when you don't even really know. You know, I don't believe in, backstabbing people and trying to attack them when you don't even, you know, actually have the facts on your side.
Or even trying to kill them just because they don't accept your beliefs. Yeah,
and I catch Christians bearing false witness a lot. I mean, I get attacked by Christians all the time. All right, and a lot of times they're bearing false witness by definition because they have no idea about what they're talking about when it comes to my actual life, you know.
Even at a basic level, straw manning someone's position is bearing false witness, and they do that all the time.
Right.
They straw man and misrepresent other people's positions all the time. And once again, not all of them, but the majority of them do. There are those who like to be exacting and stuff because they think it helps their arguments, and it does. It does being honest and being exacting help your arguments. So yeah, what do you think, Witch Doctor?
False witness. So there, it reminds me of this movie where what was it called? Sleepers. It's a Brad Pitt movie, actually, from a long time ago. And believe it or not, this particular orphanage that it took place in, it's one of those movies that takes place when these guys are kids, like a group of guys, and then it kind of flashes forward to them now, older.
Yeah.
And one of the security guards was Kevin Bacon, one of the greatest.
Yeah.
Full mustache, greasy, just complete asshole. Apparently, he was abusing these kids in every way imaginable, and they get bigger. And
I remember that one. Yeah.
two of these guys were some hardcore thugs now, and they killed him. Well, Brad Pitt plays the lawyer, and he's also one of the friends that was abused. And they set up this court case. And one of the eyewitnesses to vouch for where these guys were that day was Robert De Niro, and he was a pastor, or he was a priest. And he retired after confessing that the guys were with him that day because he broke one of those rules.
Yeah.
These guys got revenge. It was 30 years in the making. That's probably the only time I have found it convincing enough to lie on behalf of somebody is in that movie. However, typically we don't find ourselves in situations like that. And lying on behalf of somebody could cause a much bigger problem. And if that's the right direction that the question was asking, that would be my thoughts on it.
I would say that the worst person to lie to is yourself. I would say if it, don't ever lie to yourself. That's the most important person to be honest with is yourself. And from there, with my beliefs, everyone is an extension of yourself. So the more honest you are with other people, that is ultimately reflecting how honest you are with yourself.
I think people lie to themselves a lot, but every once in a while when they're sitting there taking a shower or they're watching something late at night and they turn the TV off and they think for a second and then they're like, I need to do this, I need to do that, I need to do that. But then they wake up the next day and they keep on going.
Well, I think that we all have this really, really quiet voice trying to tell us the best things to do. And that's chumming the waters for the Christians right there. They're like, oh, there's hope for them. That's the Holy Spirit. I'm like, no, you fuck ass honky. That's just the best version of yourself calling back to you to try to encourage you to become your best version. Like,
with when people say I'm going to pray for you, because it's kind of condescending and stuff. And that kind of what you were just saying sort of gave that vibe that you'll sometimes feel when whether it's a conversation about this or something else. It's when people do that. I don't really love that. Yeah. But go ahead, bro.
And then we're at number 10, thou shalt not covet. And we got some biblicals, and I'm just going to go ahead and drop my perception on the covet deal, which is right off the bat, obviously, Yahweh, Jesus, and Allah covet the attention, admiration, and worship of all, because if you don't, they kill you. Blood cult. So that's my take on the covet part right off the bat. And then Exodus 20:5, Yahweh demanding exclusive worship is coveting the free will of all. Deuteronomy 7:1-2 demands death of Canaan population in order to covet their land. And there's multiple, all these other ones about killing. You could also call that coveting because the reason they killed them was to take their land. Exodus 13:12, Yahweh covets all the firstborn. Y'all say?
I think that the whole worship thing is a type of coveting. You know, in a roundabout way, it's like that whole
Absolutely.
jealousy of God. You know, where God wants all of your attention.
Yep.
You know, is kind of a type of covetousness there. You know, when you have jealousy, you know, what are you jealous about? You know,
Exactly.
there's some aspect of covetousness in there. Like God needs your attention so badly that if you give your attention to something else, you know, he's
You
upset.
deserve death. Yeah,
You know?
if you give your attention to anything else besides, and it's different for each one of the three. You got the Jews, the Christians, and the Muslims, and they all try to. Each one of them says we are going to take over the world, and then the other one says no, you're wrong. We are going to take over the world, and the Jews are like, nah, we're the big daddy dick Jews, motherfucker. Y'all came from us. We are going to take over the world. You know what I'm saying? But you can just see how they all have this insidious desire to just own and take everything, and they're basing it all off the scriptures, and all their scriptures don't line up with each other, except for that the spirit of it, that they think that they deserve everything that you have. And so people might say, for me, okay, as far as the coveting, but I lost my train of thought. But so as far as worship goes, the one true Creator, the only actual worship that is any kind of valid to the one true Creator is co-creators creating. Every little creation that we do is His worship, and it's not something He demands. It's just something that is inevitable, because as creators, we will inevitably co-create, some more than others. It don't matter if you're like a paraplegic. All you can do is just wobble around every day. You're still creating something. So I'm just saying. So that is my well, people. I can just hear people saying, "Okay, Dane. Well, how does your perception of the one true Creator accept worship?" And that's what I just gave the answer for. So y'all good on that?
What's the
Okay,
question? I'm sorry. Dude.
Well, I was just asking if we were good on the coveting part.
Well, the one thing I thought of while you were talking was, so election night 2020, I'm in Washington, D.C., right? And I'm at Trump Hotel.
Yeah.
Right next door is the Federal Reserve. And here come the security dudes, full-blown Orthodox Jews. They did a very good job at taking over the world in the one way that makes the world go round: money. And I don't know if anyone's familiar with that, but they succeeded. And so when people have these, not in the army, you got different things that we even call coveted, if you will.
Yeah.
And it does unify you in a strong way for different things. I don't love the fact that it feels like people are trying to take everything from you that you're doing, and it's all sort of this big mafia banking religion that they're breeding people to do it. Every Jewish couple has 5 kids, and they're just brewing this mob army of banking religious people, all designed to only buy and use goods from each other, but to extract money from a population. Yes. And not to say, I don't want anyone to take this the wrong way, Hitler was just the last guy to want to rid people for doing that. It had been happening in Christian nations. You weren't allowed to participate in usury, but guess what the Jews were allowed to do?
Yeah. Yep.
If you've seen The Last Temptation of Christ, which I know, Brooklyn Lou, you've probably seen that back in the 80s. Willem Dafoe plays Jesus, and he goes to the temple, and all the freaking money exchangers are there. And they're all collecting money. I don't love that. And I think that's what Christianity was trying to eradicate. However, I think it's okay for you to not give all your shit away at the same time. So that's kind of my only real thought on it. And I talk about it in my book, Witch Doctor Christianity. I talk about that I've said some more comical type stuff in the book, while talking about it. But I just don't love that we have an organized religion out to do this to everyone but themselves. But they kind of do it to themselves too. These guys will have to pay the rabbi 30 grand a year. And it's just like, I just can't, what kind of world? I used to do security for Jews, a Jewish school actually, and the Chabads. I used to work for Jews. Jews love security companies because how ironic, a plot of land everyone's fighting over.
Yeah.
What are you worried about? You're not lying, are you? But they love security, and I worked for twin Jewish brothers who were some of the nicest and generous people in the world. They would literally give you a box of cigars that cost $1,000. They had it laying around, in their apartment in DC. And I absolutely loved Mark and Solomon, and they were great people to work for. But it did feel a little, if thinking about it just in my spare time, it did feel almost like an organized religion of just getting all the Gentiles to work for you and making them all make money for you. And it makes me feel kind of like, shit, why couldn't I have been smarter like that or something growing up? But maybe that's a good value that they're teaching their kids, at least, is just try to be as, thrifty and saving money and stuff. But you don't need a religion to do that. But I definitely felt I'm seeing these kids on all through the week, and I'm seeing them at church temple on Saturday too. And then I'm seeing them on Sundays going to the temple, which is part of the church. And it's a very narrow, Jewish kids have no idea when the fucking Civil War was. They don't care. They only care about their thing. And it's a very narrow path of learning that I've talked about with my Mormon friend that I want to bring onto my show. He's the owner of the gym I go to. And he's left Mormonism, but he felt like he had a very controlled learning process. But they end up being very successful people when they get bigger. Is this some sort of way that people have just trial and errored, and then they've realized that you have to pretty much brainwash your kids into religiously being successful with these different things you've learned? And does that rob them of finding themselves in a way because they're too busy trying to make their dad and granddad proud, who all gave them a bar mitzvah when they were 13, and now they have to start becoming a little family business, from the beginning there, and it's like, and I'm sorry that I'm talking like a Jewish person, but after all, I did work for him for 3 fucking years. So, so I there's things about that. I like that the Amish at least let you go English for a little bit before making up your mind on how you want to live. But you don't see that with Judaism. And Christianity typically has non-compliant members in it, people that don't really follow the religion or educate themselves about it, but they share memes on Instagram with John whatever verse. They share it on their page.
So, something interesting.
A good person.
I learned something interesting about Judaism recently, which is that they have the Noahides, which are not a part of the Israel state, so you got two different paths. You can either do Noahide, but if you join the Israel state, if you ever leave, they will kill you. They don't let you leave. So it's like a you better know you want it type deal, and that's just something I learned about Judaism recently.
Well, my son,
a fun little tidbit.
My son's dad is a political asylee from Syria. People wouldn't know looking at him. He's gorgeous, but he's half Syrian. And if you don't like that religion, they can kill you there. And because of their family dealing with not really being law-abiding Muslims, Sharia law-abiding Muslims, they all got out. However, because of the oppressive nature of Syria, when his mom died, he couldn't go back and see her, see her service. So yeah, I don't see anything good coming from these strict.
Oh yeah, I did have one more thing also, which is I believe our monetary system is actually part of the perception manipulation agenda. Okay, our monetary system was set up to be the way it is intentionally, and they're wanting to take away any kind of physical money. Once everyone gets on a digital currency and they totally do away with any physical currency, at that point, exactly at that point, you are a real life modern day slave. You are a modern day serf at the point where you have no more physical, because you know, and that's why they're trying to take. They want all the digit. They want digital currency, but they want it all centralized. They don't like the decentralized currency because then you can't manipulate and control every little aspect to it. And you know, so the Bitcoin, that is very important that we keep the Bitcoin going, just because it's decentralized. You know, but it's also very important that we keep our physical monetary systems going. And now that they have to manipulate people into accepting a system or not, and you see those, suggestions pretty much starting to creep into your world already. Hey, we should just drop your money and just go all digital, you know. So that is an interesting point that popped in my head while you were talking about your deal, Witch Doctor. You guys got any other rebuttals on that, or
no?
Okay, so we got just
a quick restroom break. I will be right back.
Yes, sir. All right. Well, I got a little something to. Hey, I got a little something to read. If either of you guys got to go to the bathroom, that's cool. Because that brings us into our last theology subject, which is killing of Jesus was a political assassination, not a sacrifice. So Christians attempt to ad hoc the political assassination of Jesus into a religious sacrifice. This is a superimposed fallacy. Priests did not perform the killing. The killing of Jesus was not performed upon an altar or in a holy place. The killing of Jesus was a political murder of a perceived dissident who claimed to be the king of the Jews. There was nothing sacrificed about the killing of Jesus, just good old-fashioned political assassination, granting the assertion that Jesus is the actual one true creator for the argument. And that's just for the argument, which I've said plenty of times that he's not, but for the argument. So, okay. And we're also going with what Christians usually assert, which is that he's all knowing, you know, everywhere, all loving, this and that. So, so assuming he's all knowing, okay, let's get into that. Is it really a sacrifice if you know that you are eternal and can't die? Sacrifice is something you give up forever. So at best, the crucifixion would be live action role playing as a sacrifice in order to manipulate people into relinquishing their divine sovereignty. And if the actual one true creator is a perfect creator, there shouldn't have been sin to begin with. But Christians always say, "Oh, Jesus is omnipotent. Yahweh's omnipotent. He could do anything." Well, he couldn't create man without sin. According, it's just sin has to happen for them. They can't possibly accept the very proposition that sin isn't real. Sin is not real. There is no sin. And I already annihilated all of y'all's moral arguments when I went through the 10 Commandments. So I know that some of you Christians would like to come at me with, because I watch all the videos and stuff. See, that's why I love hanging out with atheists, is because I like I like to check out all the different arguments. You know, I like to see where everyone's perception's at on everything. So I was just kind of going through that, and that once again, that is a movement. Jesus, because to me, Jesus was speaking out against Yahweh. Jesus was. I don't give a fuck what that Bible says. I would much rather go with what my inner truth tells me, which is my connection to the one true Creator, and that tells me that he was speaking out against the bullshit that the Hebrews were doing, and they killed him for it, and they could not silence his story, so they co-opted it and twisted it and just used it and ran with it, and here we are today with our current religious environment. What do you think about any of that, Lou?
I think there's all different perspectives regarding those issues. And there's different scholarship that may lead people to believe different things. Right. So I'm not one who takes a stand on, like why was Jesus killed? Right. I
Okay,
don't.
do you think it was a sacrifice though?
Oh no, of course not.
And that's just assuming that it even happened like it said. I'm not even saying that it absolutely. I'm not even saying that Jesus was an absolute historical figure. I'm just granting all that for the sake of the argument.
That's what I'm saying. I don't
Yeah.
know. I'm not sure if he was actually.
So what you're saying is there's just as much point in debating about that as there is to debating about what Hermione likes for breakfast. Gotcha.
Yeah, it's not something. Now, I do not believe in any atonement or that you have to sacrifice a goat to have sins forgiven, or that Jesus was a sacrifice. No, I don't go along with that.
Well, if the one true creator is a perfect creator, there's no sacrifice necessary. There's just that whole concept. That's why I called them a blood cult, because they're always one way or another. There must be blood. There must be blood. One way or another. And believe me, I still plan on fully getting into the Muslim Quran. And I'm currently working on getting into the Torah and the Judaism side. But you guys ain't gonna like it. The more I read it, the more ammo I have against why y'all's why y'all's perception of the one true creator is incorrect. And I'm talking to followers of Abraham right now. So, which doctor do you think? If Jesus did exist, was he sacrificed, or was it just a political murder?
Oh man, it's a good question, because that seems to be the $1 million question. Even when you're talking to atheists, Jews, Christians, everybody, that seems to be one of the biggest questions. So from the research that I have done, some of the writings about this guy look like other Greek scriptures, right? Like Homer.
Yep.
And so it makes me wonder just how much of the stories had anything to do with
the actual historical figure.
Yeah, remember in the 90s how all the cool kids were named Travis?
Yeah.
Jesus is a popular name at the time. And
well,
so
for me, I think there might have been an actual historical figure, but Jesus was absolutely not even his real name, which is why I keep laughing every time that they stand so hard on that Jesus name. I'm like, that's not even his real name.
Well, what's even more ironic about that name is that there's another false Messiah in the Bible named Bar Jesus. So it's like this, you can't get away from this name.
Yeah, there are ancient, or there's multiple ancient records of multiple different Jesuses back then, and also not only that, the whole story of like a redeemer coming for salvation. That's an older borrowed story that I think was conglomerated into this figure, and they just covered up all the holes with killing motherfuckers. Anyone that questions something, just kill them.
I think it just was like an evolution. So you had like Zoroastrianism, that's the dark light, And then we had Judaism, Now it's the same idea as Zarathustra, but just, instead we're going to go to Egypt. We're going to take credit for building the pyramids, and we're going to write ourselves a deed to a plot of land over here where the plants grow really nice. All the trees are great. It's like great lakefront property over here in Jerusalem. Come see me, Yusef Shayowitz, real estate agent. And so that's literally the name of one of my parents I used to do security for.
Okay.
He's a real estate agent named Yusef Shayowitz in the area. Hit him up if you're looking for a house.
Shout out.
$500 million for a trailer on a piece of land. But it's expensive down there right now. And so I think Jesus, what I've talked about on my channel is that we have this last of the Mohicans type of character who's deified for the followers that follow him.
Yeah.
Escape from Alcatraz, they wrote in the newspaper that they drowned when those guys escaped, and there was a
I remember hearing about that.
There was a good chance they never drowned, actually, it's possible that they didn't drown. They never found the bodies or anything. Whatever. So, but they say they drowned so that people don't try to escape anymore, because they just say you're just gonna die. And so the Knights Templar believe that when this particular guy, and they do say his name was Jesus or Jesus or Yeshua in Hebrew, however you say that the right way. I'm not a language guy, but and they say that after the crucifixion that they got him down and they kind of revived him a little bit. That was his resurrection, but that he got married to Mary, the one of the three Marys.
Well, they try to make it seem like when you're a kid, they try to make it seem like Christian was always this big unified thing, and they never disagreed on anything. And even as a kid, they make it seem like it's still that way. But even as kids, it was still very split. And even in the very earliest days of Christianity, it was very split and ununified. And they killed anyone that had divergent theories or beliefs or dogmas. Like the Gnostics, the Cathars.
The first martyr, he was. I talk about him, Saint Stephen, one of the first guys to die for the Enlightenment. I personally think that this rabbi was doing miracles and magic and stuff, which is just entheogen use, and I think he was giving it to kids and stuff. And I don't think everybody agreed with it. Even his own disciples, I don't think, liked how he was doing some stuff. Kind of like how some of the Babylon people don't like how Amon does his stuff. So if we hijack the, Babylon religion and tweak it to where it makes us all happy, then that's the same thing that sort of happened with Jesus. So we're doing the same thing to people on YouTube right now.
And that goes back to a recurring theme I'm talking about, which is any kind of movement or protest getting hijacked. And I want everyone to really keep your mind out and look out for that shit, because it's happening all around us. It's happening right now. It happened with the, do you remember this in lockdowns 2020? People were coming out to protest the lockdowns. Remember that? People were coming out to protest the lockdowns, and all of a sudden this George Floyd thing happens, and all of a sudden it turned into, BLM. They're not protesting the lockdowns. It's BLM. They're protesting everyone being racist. They just kicked up a nice little batch of racism to distract everyone with. Okay, and then and of course the people we were talking about that make the money and own all the news media, because they are constantly controlling people's perception. It is a perception manipulation program. So, what the fuck was I talking about? I lost track. Oh yeah, just looking out for people co-opting movements and stuff, and that all circles back around to the power of your perception. If you're not writing your own story, someone's gonna write it for you. If you are doing nothing but reading and you don't write, you are not creating your own story. And I mean that metaphorically. It doesn't necessarily have to be physically, but you just be careful. Be mindful of the programming. Because we are all programmed, but we can all reprogram ourselves. And do you guys got anything else on that before we go into the next one? Because we're about into our culture section.
Let's go into that. Yeah, let's do it.
All right. So now we're just gonna let me get my notes. I wanted to come out as trans, and first and foremost, I would like to thank all the transgenders for opening the trans door. Okay, but also in the same breath, I would like to admonish all the transgenders for once they got that door open, they're like, no, anything that's, you can't be trans anything except for gender. Okay, but hold on. Let's. Trans means all. Okay, or I mean, so I'm not omnitrans. So I'm transcending all things. So you can transcend any social construct that you want. And this is another thing where a movement is getting hijacked. Okay, and I mean by it getting hijacked by the elite coming in and saying, no, you guys are only allowed to have this one little square right here of social constructs that you can transcend, and that is gender alone, nothing else. Nope, can't transcend nothing else, just gender. So I'm serious about this. Like, people thought I was joking when I was saying I'm an omnitrans motherfucker. You guys have inspired me. But the thing is, y'all don't got to be taking all them fucking chemicals and shit. If you're transcending a thing such as gender, why are you trying so hard in the same breath to capitulate to it? Ooh, deep question, right? And what I mean by that is all the chemicals and all these pills, and who's benefiting off of that is the pharmaceutical companies. Okay, so you have all the, and yes, what I'm trying to say here is you can be transgender without, and once again, if you're trying to transcend the social construct of gender, why are you trying so hard to conform to it at the same time? You know what I'm saying? So anyway, y'all do you, just something to think about. But once again, thank you, all you transgenders. But because I like to say I'm half black, I'm half brown, I'm half red, I'm half white. You call me Chief Dark Brownie Cracker, okay? And that's for all the people that don't like it when I say nigga. It's like, why is that motherfucking cracker saying nigga? We can't have that shit. So I was raised up in the hood, y'all. I was raised up in the hood, and I don't give a flying fuck. You know what? As a white kid in the hood, they talk to you just like they talk to everyone else. And had you been like, hey, don't talk to me like that. Can't you see I'm white? They'd have been like, oh, so you think you're better than us, huh? You need to get treated some special kind of way. So as fate would have it, believe it or not, they treat you just the same way as they treat everyone else in the hood. And that's a cultural thing, okay? That is a culture thing. Just like a lot of the transgenders, they are trying to take over the culture of some gender or another. And that's fine, but it is a cultural thing. And there's an atheist, Forrest Valkey or Valcray or some shit like that. And I saw him go on a little rant one time on the atheist experience where he was trying to explain to people why gender is the only construct that you can transcend. And it sounded a lot like special pleading to me. You know, for a group that doesn't like special pleading, anyone that was behind that fucking argument loved the fuck out of that special pleading. And I'm going to come right behind that and say, I'm annihilating that argument by clearly showing that you can transcend any construct. Okay. And this is groundbreaking right here. Omnitrans motherfuckers, start making videos about it. Get behind me, motherfuckers. Line starts right here. Omnitrans. Now, what's fucked up about it is, it's cool to give all kinds of kids these super hardcore chemical pills. Yet, do you guys remember a few years ago, they were arresting all kinds of parents for giving their kids cannabis oil for legit medical reasons? It helps with it's a miracle cure. I'll just come out and say it. I watched that. I made up cannabis oil for my mom when her fucking face was rotting off, dude. And within 3 days, of her eating it, and I was wiping it on her sores, this weird white film popped up all over her face. And when I wiped it off, it had stopped the aggressive growth in its tracks. It was squamous cell cancer, and she would still be here with me to this day had she kept taking that cannabis oil. But as fate would have it, she had such a big buildup of cancer in her system that you get a lot of calcium. Calcium is something that's a byproduct of a bunch of cancer, and that makes you batshit crazy. She was not thinking right. She pulled out in front of a semi trying to kill herself. Okay. And I know that's what happened. And well, she used to drive trucks her whole fucking life, dump trucks. And she knows how to drive. She never once had a wreck, never once had a ticket. That she knew how to drive. And so that's how I know she did it on purpose. You know, she'd been driving her whole life and never gotten a single fucking wreck. But I did get confirmation later on because at this point she couldn't even talk. You know, the cancer was so bad. So right before this wreck happened, she was visiting with a friend. I would say talking, but she couldn't talk. But she expressed to the friend that she was thinking about killing herself. And then right after that, she pulls out in front of a fucking truck. But at any rate, the point of the story is I watched that shit work. And that is a live testimonial. It stopped the cancer in its fucking tracks. That is a miracle cure. And why is it they were arresting parents for giving their kids this fucking miracle cure, but now they're arresting parents for saying, hey, I don't want all these drugs in my fucking kid at that young age. They are literally arresting parents over that with the transgender stuff. And why is that? That's because cannabis oil you can grow in your own backyard and make your own miracle cure. But all these chemicals are exclusively owned by the same people we were talking about that own all the chemical plants. So all the profits get funneled that way. Instead, because that's the biggest reason why a lot of plants are illegal is because you can grow cures for stuff in your backyard, and that directly interferes with the profits of pharmaceutical companies. So that's kind of a big topic subject right there. What do you guys think about me coming out as trans?
You know, some of the chemicals that you were talking about is something I've talked about too. So there's a common steroid in bodybuilding. I have an extensive background with steroids, unfortunately, and it's called oxandrolone. Oxandrolone is Anavar, and some of y'all might have even heard of Anavar if you follow any of the Muscle Girls or some shit.
Yeah.
Women take it, and it's interesting. The reason the doctor won't give it to me if I ask for it is because it causes liver enzymes to go up, or whatever, all the health complications that are on the list. And that's why the doctor won't give it to me, an established hormone-taking bodybuilder that does blood work regularly. However, my daughter, if she says she wants to be a boy, well, they'll write that prescription right now.
Yep.
Disregarding the liver damage, disregarding the cholesterol issues, and disregarding the chemical changes that you experience in the brain. So the medical field does have some hypocrisy. And it's so ironic that they have
We
to
said the quiet part out loud, y'all.
Because the words just sound alike and they're not the same thing or related. But it's just funny how I thought that was karma at its best. And that's why I dropped out of medical schools. I was in physical therapy school. Was the first day of my first medical class. One of the things that they wanted to teach you was that it's not if you're being sued, it's how many people are suing you. And I've never really listened to the physician world very well with all the.
Can you please take that out of here, please? It's making noise, please.
The extensive background in learning how performance enhancing chemicals affect the body. You learn a lot about the body, and so I'm not a big fan of those kinds of chemicals being used for profit. However, I have abused and made so many chemicals that harm you in my past that I don't get to talk too much shit. But well,
you can speak your lessons though. And that's what we're trying to do here is maybe help some other people learn from our lessons,
Well, if you identify as a bodybuilder, you should be able to get any steroid you want from the doctor.
There you go. Tell them.
If my 10-year-old decides to be a boy, I don't know if you should go throwing them on steroids. Now, remember, I have dated several women from the bodybuilding world who have all experienced side effects from these drugs.
Oh, okay.
The voice, the hair, and everything else. Sometimes infertile.
Yeah.
For the abuse, and sometimes the guys too. I mean, even me myself, I've had to, people will take human chorionic gonadotropin.
Yeah, so that's not shit to be taken lightly, is what you're saying, pretty much.
It can destroy you as a guy, and it can destroy you as a girl. I cold turkeyed when I came off of those drugs, and it took forever to get sex drive back, to get, just the feeling like you work right again. Yeah. And so there's things about like the chemical world and the profits and stuff. And then there's also, in the same hand, you'll have absolute absurdity being broadcasted on live television every night, completely disregarding the last 3,000 goddamn years of medical fucking research.
Oh, yeah.
And so at the same time, it seems like no matter it's all, and I don't know how much of a rabbit hole we're doing here with that topic, but just follow the money.
Yeah.
Follow the money. It's like, the Anavar's notoriously never been prescribed, and now they're prescribing oxandrolone to everybody before, and then if not that, then it's just straight up testosterone injections because they're actually safer.
Yeah.
They don't go through your liver twice and things like that, So, but I've worked in that world a lot. So when you talked about some of those chemicals and sort of criticizing the trans world.
No, thank you for giving us some inside info on that world, because You got that knowledge
Omnitrans,
there.
I don't understand. You mean you're omnitrans? What's that mean?
Omni means all.
Right.
Trans means to transcend. So I can, man, come the fuck on, get off my notes. God damn it. Off my notes. Off my notes. Off my notes, motherfuckers. Oh, hold on one second. We had some notes down situation. All right. So yeah, omni is all, and trans is to transcend. I transcend all social constructs. Any social construct that I wish to transcend, I can just by wanting it. The same right that transgenders have to transcend the construct of gender, I have that same right to transcend any construct I want. And because I get a lot of pushback on this on trans people, they will say all kinds of shit. They really try to be gatekeepers here. They will accept, just piling on however many genders. And if you are one of those trans people that think you can only be trans within gender, then I would like to. I'm gonna. You can call me classless heathen gender. Okay, I am classless heathen gender because I have called up a few times to the atheist experience, and they said I can only be a transgender. So I said I'm trans atheist, or I said I'm a fucking classless heathen gender, and they said they didn't have that one in their system, and they made me feel very marginalized when they said that. But anyway, so any other questions about my omnitrans?
Do you have any, bro? Brooklyn?
Lou's like, I'm just leaving that shit alone.
Yeah, this subject for me is the only thing I could think of is I think that there's a difference between adults and children. So,
yeah.
I mean,
that's the only social construct you can't transcend, is what you're saying. I got you.
When you're an adult, I think you should have way more freedom to do with your own body what you want to do with it.
Yeah, no, absolutely. Yeah, absolutely. Well, a parent's right is to raise their kid the way they want. That is a parent's right, and you should at no point have the state trying to get in between that.
Yeah, it kind of gets a little messy there. That's been sort of a thing that came up during the mask season 4 years ago, was that became a big topic that actually caused Virginia. I was living in DC at the time, so I kind of knew what was going on in that area of the world. The Virginia governor won on that concept alone, of like the schools not getting in between families and the states not getting in between, things like that. But go ahead, man. What's your next one?
Okay, so I would like to. I'm a fucktard. Okay, so if you don't know what a fucktard is, then it is very likely that you are fucktard phobic, perpetuating fucktard phobia. A fucktard is an otherwise properly functioning person who has been culturally coerced through mass Stockholm syndrome and mass psychosis into relinquishing their divine sovereignty unto systems and establishments, which intentionally abuse this gift of sovereignty to insidiously reallocate the autonomy of the individual unto the state. Symptoms of fucktardism include identifying or associating with mental illnesses, groveling to perceived authority figures, just to name a few. But so I'm just introducing. I'm breaking more bounds. There's fucktards out there, because all the time you say retard and people are like, "Don't say retard." I'm like, "Well, I'm a fucktard. I can say retard." And then they're like, "Well, what's that?" I'm like, "Well, then you're fucktard phobic." Obviously, if you don't know what it is, then you hate it, right? No? Oh, okay. But that's just another thing I wanted to let people know about me right there. That goes in line with my omnitrans, because that's transmental right there. I'm transnumeric. I'm transmental. I'm transracial. I'm any kind of trans I want to be at any fucking moment. And I'm just special. I know y'all are gonna get jealous that I'm special. It's like, why does he get to be all the trans is? It's like, I'm not the only one that gets to be. All you got to do is want it, So I'm just putting that out there. I'm the first in line if anyone wants to get behind me right there on the omnitrans issue. But so let's go. Okay, we already did that one. Could you work on bringing up a video that we were talking about earlier? The people getting marched out for the. Just work on that for a minute. Let me know when that pops up, and I'll go to the next thing. So I wanted to go to reading is for dummies and writing is for creators. So, and of course, most people read, but the point is, are you taking in your own programming? If all you do is read and you don't write, you're not creating anything for yourself. Of course, reading is necessary, but the point is to be a creator and the author of your own story instead of letting other people. And this is all going to circle back to one of our questions at the end, which is, what is your purpose? Okay, most people's purpose is co-opted, and then that goes back to that other subject: is keep a careful eye out for movements, because our purpose is constantly being co-opted. And why is that? That is because our perception is the jewel of the cosmos. We are all a big old sea of gods, and the only way for one god to exert control over other gods is to influence or manipulate them in some way to relinquish their divine sovereignty. And that is usually done through, the scriptures, and that is done using mass Stockholm syndrome and mass psychosis. Okay, so we got the true power of men, and I didn't learn this. I wanted to pass this lesson on in case there's some younger dudes out there, because I didn't learn this shit till I was about 30, dude. The true power of a man is saying no and setting boundaries. And that is a power that society is actively trying to take away from men these days. And they do it through perception manipulation once again. But because you got all these chicks that think, they get to say no. It's like, yeah, you say no, but no means no for everyone. And men don't realize that they have that power too. And I'll tell you right now, okay, this is a classless heathen moment. The best way to get consensual anal from a girl, okay, she has to know you can make her come. If she doesn't know you can make her come, then you're fucking up. But okay, so you put it in. That's what she calls me, Danel. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I know you intentionally said that loud. Yeah. Don't worry. Everyone heard your nickname for me. Her nickname is Crystal. We got to get even. Yeah. Crystal. You like that one, huh, Michelle? What the fuck? You threw me off, motherfucker. Okay, so yeah, I was talking about how to if you're with a girl, she has to know you can make her come. Okay, what you do is you get her close to coming, and then you stop and pull out and say, "That's all you get till you ask me real nice to put it in your ass." Okay, and walk away. Done. Yeah. If your goal is to get that consensual anal, because she'll be like, no, she'll do everything in her power. Do everything in her power. No, come on, come, please finish. And this is what I'm talking about. It circles around to a point. You say no. That's just all you get, bitch. No. and okay, and maybe she doesn't give you that time, but next time you do the same thing. You get her close, and then you pull out, and you say no. That's all you get until you ask really fucking nice for me to stick it in your ass. Classless heathen moment, y'all. So this is a lesson I learned in life. What?
Where did that come from?
Where that came from is I've only dated one girl since I've been in Arkansas, and it was the first black girl I ever dated. She was fine as fuck. I'm not going to give her last name, but her name was Veronica. She only dated white dudes, and she acted whiter than I do, because I come from the hood. And if you talk to me long enough, you'll hear the hood in me. And you talk to her long enough, and she sounds like a nerdy white girl, but she was fine as fuck. And I kept trying to put it in her butt, and she's like, no. I'm like, all right, yeah, no means no. That's cool. So I got her close to coming, and I pulled out, and I went, no, I'm good. No, I could finish, but no, until you asked me really nice to stick it in your butt. An hour later, she's like, all right. So I'm just saying, in case anyone needs a tried and true technique right there on how to get that consensual anal from your girlfriend, there you go. But that circles back around to the power of a man is saying no. And that's a lesson I learned later in life that I wish I learned earlier, and I'm trying to pass that lesson on. Setting boundaries, saying no.
Well, I know Brooklyn, I don't mean anything by this, but I'm probably just a couple years younger than you. And
a lot younger.
Well, you've seen guys change over each generation. And I've made some theories that once we started playing John Mayer on the radio, guys really did soften up a lot. But we still fed them video games and war movies because we were funding credit card wars at the time. So we made us a bunch of pussies, but we still all went to war. But I remember back in the day where dudes had a little bit more tenacity. Like I've been watching the first few seasons of American Gladiators, and one of the contenders on there was Billy Worth, and he was the brown-haired dude from the Lost Boys, the vampire, one of the vampire guys. And he's this skinny kid from New York, you know, he's kind of soft-spoken. Yeah, you know, he's too cool. And he's whooping their asses. And nobody would have ever thought this kid out of probably Brooklyn, you know, or somewhere, you know, nobody would have thought this little skinny kid with long black hair was going to come in and whoop some ass. Nowadays, you're not going to get that. That skinny guy who's got a lot of fight in him, they're there. But it's back in the day, guys were a little bit tougher. And I don't know if that's because maybe they were raised in a way to where they were more confident in how they did their life. And now guys are a bunch of whiny bitches.
Yeah.
Well,
And that's got to irritate the shit out of the generations before me.
Well, that's intentional, though. That's part of the perception manipulation programs that have been enacted since I was a kid, you know?
well, I'm way older than you.
Yep.
I'm 62 years old.
I was born in 85.
And yeah, I was well out of high school by then. But when I was young, I mean, it was not so much that you were able to beat everybody up, but it was more in the fight that you had in you. All right.
Yeah.
So in other words, like it was the culture I grew up in is it didn't so matter if you won the fight, but that you were willing to do the fight.
Yeah. It matters that you stand up for yourself, whether you win or lose.
That you're willing to throw down.
Yeah.
You know, and I definitely was into that myself personally.
You used to be a badass on the streets or what?
Yeah, you know, this is not me now. This was a long time
Well, yeah.
ago.
That's old Blue.
I was totally into fighting and all that stuff. But again, it was based on an honor that you were willing to defend yourself, you know, and you're willing to throw down. But it wasn't the same when I was young. It wasn't the same like with guns and knives and all that.
Well, back then it was about fighting and walking away. And these days it's more about just killing each other.
Hand to hand, you know.
Yeah.
Hand to hand combat, you know. And after it, you would actually like shake hands and go home.
Yeah.
Sometimes we became friends.
Thanks, buddy. I needed that.
You would become friends. And
yeah, people. Okay, well, I'm going to segue into people just need to start punching each other in the face more.
Instead of shooting.
I will temper that with instead of killing each other. You know, put the weapons down. Just do some fisticuffs, and both you walk away, go about your day. But that kind of circles. And did you get that one thing told up for us, Witch Doctor? The people getting marched. The people getting marched out. But I'll keep going. I'll go to the next point, which is
I can look for that. Yeah.
Yeah. Get that ready to drop at some point. The people getting marched out.
Europe, you said.
There should be a recent posting about it. There was just recently, like a week or two, a big old thing about it, and I just wanted to bring something up about that real quick. So the importance of having two parents, which is that goes closely aligned with the true power of men, because that's another thing that has been taken away from our recent generations. And I just wanted to pontificate on the importance of having two parents, because I didn't have two parents as a kid. I only had one mom. I had a brother and a sister, and my mom would work 2 to 3 jobs all the time. She tried her best to be both parents, but she just wasn't. You know, she had to work all the time. So there's plenty of times where we had to get left to ourselves, you know, and and I mean from a very young age. You had a 6-year-old watching a 5-year-old and a 4-year-old because she had to work, and that's just how it was because she couldn't afford a babysitter. She had to work, and my mom did everything in her power to take care of us, as much as she could. She had to have her weed, she did have to have her weed. And actually, it's funny. There was one time she had a pet squirrel, and a pet squirrel ate her weed bag. And at first, when she came home, she thought it was us getting into her bag, but then she realized the squirrel ate her fucking weed, and she flicked that thing in the head, and it just took off and went back out to all the wild squirrels. But that's just a little story I thought of. But anyway, so will you guys touch on what your views are on the importance of having 2 parents for a kid?
I think it's ideal, so I'm all for it. But of course, there's so many different situations where it doesn't work out that way,
Well, I think that circles around to people need to really choose their mates more carefully, That's why I think, there is a perception manipulation program to break up families, but people just need to be much more careful about, who they give it away to. It's a slut culture these days, people just giving it away like it ain't no thing, and that's fine. But I don't know. From my perception, I think my life would have been a lot better if I had, because my dad at the time, he was an abusive alcoholic. He had his own issues. He's gotten better since then. He put the bottle down. He's really been there for me the last couple of years. But when I was a kid, he was not there for me. And actually, the few memories I have was of him being very violent. He beat the fuck out of my mom when I was a one. That's my first memory in life, was my dad beat the holy fuck out of my mom, pulled her hair out. Her face was all, you couldn't recognize her from all the blood. He's screaming at her, go look in the mirror. Me and my brother just hugging each other in the corner of the room, hoping he didn't see us. My sister was a brand new newborn baby off in another corner or something, and that was my very first memory in life. And I think I would have gotten a lot farther in life if I had a good father right there with me the whole time. And anytime my mom dated someone that was an abusive alcoholic, it's like it was always a different person, but it was the exact same. She had a type, let's just put it. And she got better when she finally just stayed single.
One thing, when I was young, and the culture I grew up in, and I've maintained this throughout my life, whatever my religious belief was.
Yeah.
And I still go by this. In my world growing up, men didn't hit women. All right. We hit each other. Okay?
Yeah.
But like, I never hit a woman. Like, that was not something, like, in my understanding was that made you less of a man. That was kind of the culture I was brought up in. Like, if a woman was going to hit me, okay, hit me, but I'm not striking you back.
Well, it makes you a bully, I'll say that, who likes to be a bully, but there are some people out there that like to be, it's not me, but there are some people that like picking on things weaker than them, because they are weak themselves, okay, if you hit a woman, most of them guys won't go up and stand up for themselves to other men, because I've known a lot of them, and they're quick to act tough in front of a woman, but then when they get called out by a dude, or a dude bows up to them, they get super apologetic real quick. And that's not all of them, of course, but that's a big majority of them. So I watched my mom get the fuck beat out of her a lot. I'm not into none of that. No. Yeah. I'd never put my hands on a woman like that.
I mean, even women fighters, because I'm an MMA fan.
Yeah, me too.
And I know that there's fighters who can kick my butt that are women. All right, because they're highly trained, and I know what fighting's about.
Okay.
I don't care if a woman was an MMA champion was going to kick my butt. I still wouldn't hit back.
Engage.
So Lou, I'm going to ask you a question. And you like MMA? You watch UFC?
Oh, I gamble on UFC for many years. So.
You've been giving them way too much money. Okay, check this out. Who is the modern? This is a trivia question. Who is the modern day godfather of MMA?
I would say Hoist Gracie, I guess.
Well, I have evidence that it's not. I mean, I guess it's not a fucking. this is a subjective question, but I will.
Of course.
It's a subjective question, but Chael Sonnen is absolutely the modern day godfather of MMA, and I say that for multiple reasons. Because in my view, he saved the UFC. He did save the UFC. He caused such a racket and a riot, and he drew so much attention to himself that people would rather see him fight Anderson Silva instead of John Jones, who at the time, that was the fight I wanted to see, was John Jones versus Anderson Silva. And I talked about this a little bit yesterday too, but I was advertising this episode today. Yesterday was just like a test run, so I'm definitely going to hit on it again. So yeah. To me, I've been watching Chael Sonnen. Man, I didn't like him at first. He tricked me well. I did not like him at first. He played his part well, but right after I moved to Arkansas in 2010, shortly after that, he started up his channel, and I started watching his channel, man. And that motherfucker is just a genius. He's a comic genius. He drops all kinds of golden nuggets. I would absolutely recommend anyone into MMA check him out. But so I'm just kind of giving him a shout out because him and also Jesse on Fire in the MMA world. He's kind of a pundit, they would call him. He just comments on shit. But you watch him?
I watched MMA, before they had any rules at all.
Oh yeah,
I watched the first events where there was no weight classes.
Yep.
No, it was just, well, I'm a judo guy and you're a boxer, and throw them in. Didn't even have weight divisions. There was like really almost no rules whatsoever. All right. Those were the earliest days that I remember,
So the UFC, I did executive protection for one of them. I think it was 297 when Gilbert Burns fought Chimaev. But the UFC, it's funny. I worked for Gold's Gym for years, and they actually were interested in sponsoring the UFC. But at that very first Ultimate Fighting Championships, which was mispronounced before Joe Rogan by the other announcers, they said Ultimate Fighting Challenge. And it's funny, the Gracies came over here promoting Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu ultimately, and an American version of the prize fights that they were dominating for a while until the Gracie Hunters showed up, that Hazuki Yama, whoever, and he started putting them all out. But I really, really have a special place in my heart for that. I took Sogo Goshindo in high school, and then I took Jiu-Jitsu from Gilbert Burns School.
Do you remember when the UFC, real early, like Hoist Gracie would go in with a gi?
Yeah.
Right? That was like part of,
Keep it from
it is funny to watch today because you got guys like a boxer would come in boxing gear, and
one glove.
The jiu-jitsu would come in, in a gi, and I don't know. It was crazy.
The smallest guy won. The Gracie one.
Hey, Witch Doctor, can you give me about 2 minutes so I can run to the bathroom real quick?
Yeah, for sure.
All right, thanks, sir.
But it showed. You can see my treadmill here, but it showed the advantage of not only the gi keeping people from slipping away from you, but also just the technique. And he says it. He said they don't know what to do on the ground. So and a lot of people hadn't really ever seen fighting that way, because traditionally you're seeing kickboxing, you're like kickboxer, you're seeing wrestling and grappling, but you're not really seeing them both together. So I think it was I have very best and I ran UFC Fit here in Fort Worth for a little while when I first got here, actually, just from my experience in the gym industry and having worked for UFC before and stuff. It was a good entryway, but I've been a big fan of it for a while. I will say that when I went to go do security for UFC 297, we were all in Florida and we were just doing the stuff in the ring. I got really lucky. A lot of the videos of the fighters coming out, you can see me right behind them in a suit as they're coming out dancing and stuff. So I felt really special that day to share that. But,
hey, did you ever meet Kevin Holland? Right, he's from Fort Worth, I think. that area anyway.
Mm-mm.
You know.
No, does he live here still? I wonder.
I just, when I watch him fight, it usually says from Fort Worth, Texas.
You know, there was a couple of different. They actually, it's funny. There was 2 Fort Worth locations, and when I showed up, my friend Rick was actually working for the franchise, and he randomly moves to Fort Worth, where I was out here with my wife, and I was like, "Holy crap, man! Hey, get me a job up there." And next thing you know, they fired the manager and put me in charge. And the first thing I said, I knew they were going to go out of business because they were too slow. I could tell that they weren't going to last. And sure enough, they did. But no, I didn't meet a whole lot. I've met a lot of the fighters at that location. But, you know, when you're managing a location like that, you're working so much that you just I was honestly glad to leave. I went on the road with DeSantis and left that job when Crunch Fitness walked in and bought the location. I was like, all right, I'm gone. See you later. And I was back on the road doing the bodyguard stuff and flying every freaking day, which sucks. And I don't wish that on my worst enemy. Welcome back, Dane.
Thank you, sir. We're gonna take a little bit of a slightly political turn. Oh, you got that ready? Okay, cool.
Yeah.
Perfect timing. Yeah. We'll go right here.
Let me change my view here. All right. So what did you have lined up next?
Do you have that a video pulled up for them people getting marched out?
Well, I have this article. I was going to ask you if this was the same one. Man who burned the Quran. I'll narrate. Is shot dead.
Yeah. Well, let's definitely look at that one for sure.
All right. Yeah. So this one here is by Maya Davies and Danny Aberhard, BBC News. All right. So a man who sparked violent protests after burning the Quran has been shot dead in Sweden.
Okay. And I wanted to bring this up right here to show, because I have my Bibles right here. I'm going to burn. All right. It's a representation. It's a representation of their Bibles, because I don't have the money to actually go out and buy some just to burn. But so yeah, I'm going to be burning the Bibles of each one of the Abrahamic religions, and this is why. And I just want to let the Muslims know that I never would have even thought about that, except for y'all motherfuckers running around killing people for doing it. Now I got to do it. Now I got to stand up and protest and be like, who the now, motherfucker? So obviously, I haven't been afraid of dying much my whole life. So some people are afraid of. I'm afraid of some things. Just dying ain't one of them. I'm afraid of snakes. I'm afraid of spiders. I'm afraid of losing my dogs, and that's about fucking it. Okay, so yeah, that is definitely one of the things. And the next thing I wanted to talk about goes right in line with that. What was I was wanting to get one of the videos of the extremist Muslims marching out a bunch of people to kill them, and if we could get just something like that.
Let me see if I can find something like that. No, I'm not,
because there's been a bunch of that going on here lately. There was just there was just a lesbian couple up in Canada that got jumped for being lesbians by a big old angry mob of extremist Muslims. And I have to keep saying extremist Muslims because obviously it's not all of them, right? But the justification for it is right there in their holy book, just like the rest of the followers of Abraham. See, the other followers of Abraham have those same justifications for doing those same horrific deeds right there in the holy books. They just haven't been acting on them much in the last couple hundred years. I'd say about 200 years ago, the Christians were a lot more like what Muslims are right now than they would like to admit. Just ask all the mass genocides left in their wake. I would like to say 50 million people have been killed in the name of Jesus, and probably another 60 to 70 million people have been killed in the names of Yahweh and Allah. So they leave behind a wake of blood in their path. So yeah, pretty much my whole point with the people getting marched out was that all these people just hanging out, waiting to get killed, just waiting to get their head cut off. Fuck that. You fight to the death. I'm not just marching out and then letting you chop my head off. You got me fucked up. You better have me so fucking strung up that I can't twitch. You know, if I can twitch at all, I'm going to fucking twitch something right in your fucking eye and try to kill you. At least take one of you out with me, you know? And all these people just letting motherfuckers kill them. I don't get that. That's just something I wanted to bring up real quick. So, like I said, we're taking I saved the most controversial stuff to the very end intentionally. So we got immigration. What do you guys think about immigration? Just in general, whatever your thoughts are on it.
I don't really care much about immigration. It's not something I feel impacts my life whatsoever. I mean, my ancestors, on my mother's side, of course.
No. Hey, I'm sorry. Illegal immigration, and not just immigration. I'm sorry, illegal immigration. Okay. More specifically, what do you feel about the borders? Do you like them better before Trump got elected, or what?
I don't know that there's all that much of a difference. I mean, I don't know.
There's been a big difference. There's been crackdowns on people coming over. That there's not. Yeah. There's been big.
I'm on the. I'm definitely on the progressive side.
Yeah.
I don't want borders to be open where people could just come walking in, anytime they want. All right. But it's just not a big issue for me personally. I know people who are here illegally. I don't care. It does not bother me one bit. I care about how people interact with me. All right.
Yeah.
So I don't care if someone's here from Guatemala and they didn't have papers. That just doesn't bother me. So for me,
but you would care if they came here and they're a total disruption to society, running around killing people.
Well, I think criminals have to be prosecuted,
Right.
Whether they're American or non-American.
Yeah.
I just don't really separate the two. Like, there are plenty of Americans committing a lot of crime. I would want them prosecuted.
Yeah.
Right. It's illegal immigrants who come here and commit crime. Let's say they talk about these gangs, right? I mean, if the gangs are there running criminal enterprises,
they're eating the cats. They're eating the dogs.
Yeah.
I'm just plugging it.
So I mean, it's not a big thing I get into. I mean, I'm a people person. I'm not a person who looks at, like I said, someone from Guatemala, someone from Mexico, that they necessarily are bad people. And I don't look at because they came here undocumented, that means they're bad people either. Yeah,
I'm not saying that either.
Kind of like if they're doing crime, of course I want them, prosecuted or thrown out, either way.
Yep. My just main point on that is that for any nation, the only reason that you are a sovereign nation is because you maintain your borders. If you do not maintain your borders, then another stronger sovereign nation will take that as an open invitation to come slam fuck you and take over your country and then extinguish those borders and take your land. So having borders is absolutely essential. To having a sovereign nation, and I have seen a big difference, in crackdown and people coming over. And I'm not to clarify, I'm not against immigration. I'm against the illegal immigration. So I definitely felt I feel a lot better about how the borders are now with how Trump has been treating the borders than how Biden was treating the borders. We'll just put it like that. And what do you think, Witch Doctor?
So I have said things like no person or plant or fungus is illegal anywhere on the planet. However, I do see the importance in borders. I mean, after all, I was a civil affairs specialist in the Army. So my overall goal, which we're going to talk a little bit more about, like your purpose and stuff, it's obviously not to be mean to anybody. Needless to say, go jump out of airplanes and get fucking shot at building soccer fields for kids in other countries with y'all's money. So I definitely don't, I've paid my dues when it comes to helping out other people. And how as much as I don't know if the numbers are fluffed, but you know, there can be issues from
Hold on, give me 1 second. I got
having too much movement through the borders and stuff. I'm sure can cause excess drug smuggling and who knows. But if every time they deport somebody, they just come right back and are back in the country 8 hours later, then we are wasting our money making this big task force for everybody just to come back again. So I saw a video the other day of somebody who he was deported, and it could have been a fake video. I mean, you know, you never know. Artists. And he was like, well, I got deported and I'm already back in less than 3 hours. And I was like, well, we're just going to be shitting money out there. Building a wall and stuff. I could see people being like, yeah, let's do that. Yeah, sure. Okay. You know, I think every kingdom had a freaking Troy, had walls around it. Sure. But taking all this money to remove people that are already here, the nice part, the nice side of me says, you know, that there's good people. You know, I lived in Panama for 3 years, and we had control of the canal. I'm sure there were some Panamanians that didn't love that. And there were probably some Panamanians that loved how much we stimulated their economy being there. And you remember in 96, I mean, I lived there when they went and got Noriega out the damn church that he was hiding in. They black psyoped him out, which is when they play really loud rock music to get you to go nuts. And then you'll do anything to get that noise to stop. And so I'm not a big fan of economies being hurt by immigration. But my stepmother is an immigrant, and she's British. So it took her 10 years to get her citizenship, and she was, had jobs and everything on different work visas and whatnot,
Yeah.
And I guess you could say she might be a little offended that some people kind of just, I guess, came here, and she waited so long to get her 10 years being married to my dad before she got her damn citizenship, It's just, of course, she's a British girl with blonde hair and blue eyes. So, does anybody really give a shit about her right now? No. Who cares? We care more about whatever the news told us to care about, and it depends which channel you watch. And they all kind of make up their own issues to get everybody behind, just like religions used to do. Whether they want to make you mad at your neighbor for not driving a Tesla or buying solar panels yet or whatever, they're going to do whatever they can. And I guess
divide and conquer.
What I really need to say.
Divide and conquer, and that really segues us really nicely into. Did you have something, Lou?
No, I just think one point that comes to my mind is I do think the issue of illegal immigration is highly politicized.
Oh, absolutely.
It is totally politicized.
Like I live in Texas.
Well, any social issue gets politicized. It's not just immigration. Any and every political issue, they will use politicized. Either way. And if people's wondering about me, I'll tell you right now about me. I vote for myself as president. I'm red, white, and blue. I'm not red team or blue team. I'm red, white, and blue team. Team freedom, motherfucker. I got American Patriot tattooed right here on my neck. This is defiance of tyranny, is obedience to freedom in the small print. And then I got give me liberty or give me death on the back on the police shield. All right. So I'm all about freedom. I'm all about America. Let's quit killing each other. We're all brothers. Another shout out to the Middle East. Quit killing each other's motherfucker. All right. So that gets segues us nicely into this one right here, which is I believe we're going to evaluate the state of America, considering that I believe that they are using religion to incite a civil war right now. And this is the next step that I see in their playbook. They're blowing up the, what do they call it? The Christian nationalists. They're blowing up this Christian nationalist thing. And then you obviously create the anti-movement to that, which is on the more the blue side, and I would just like to encourage everyone to just stop and look around and realize that we're all neighbors and we're all brothers, and not every Christian wants to take over the country, and not every liberal wants to take over. They're playing us against each other, y'all, and everyone needs to realize that. So this is definitely a direction that I see their propaganda manipulation systems going toward, is using religion to try to incite civil war. So everyone look out for that. And what do you guys think about those subjects?
I'm totally with you on that. So, I mean, that's my observation.
Yeah, I'm all about saying the quiet part out loud out here. This is Dark Light Delirium, uncensored, unhinged, and unapologetic. Or it's unhinged, uncensored, and unapologetic. One way or another, you get a classless heathen.
Well, I see that religion is being used as a wedge, and I do think it could lead to a some sort of civil war, if not an outright war. Just a lot of
well, they're trying to have a global. They're trying to have another world war. You know, they've been working on the World War III. You know, and we've been seeing it in the last couple of years fall more and more into place. And what they're trying to do with that, and that's all part of the plan. And they're trying to, when they kick off World War III, they want America to also go into a civil war. That way that they can totally recreate the whole world that they fucking want it. That is something that everyone needs to look out for right there.
I mean, the reason I got on YouTube was essentially Christian nationalism.
Yep.
I mean, that's kind of why I got on YouTube.
Yep.
Because I think there's, and it's a segment of Christianity, not all of Christianity.
Yep.
But there's a segment in America that wants to dominate, and it's dominion theology is what they call it.
I would like to shout out to any kid that has a school where they are forcing the 10 Commandments on them. Take notes off of my debunking of the 10 Commandments. And I plan on making a shorter video all about that, just for the kids. If you're ever in a fucking classroom and they're trying to, because they're trying to say, oh, it's just hanging up in the room. Oh, it's just hanging up there. But no, it's not just hanging up there. Once it's hanging up there, then they're going to use that to try to enforce it on you. So I'm giving kids ammunition to fire back if they are in a school that is trying to lord the 10 Commandments over them. All right.
There was another thing theologically, from a Christian perspective, that I know, the Christians in America don't necessarily agree with me on. But Jesus never taught like to be part of a political group. All right. He taught that his kingdom was not of this world.
Yeah.
All right. So he never seemed to indicate, you join in some worldly, fight against other people. All right. So I think theologically that Christian nationalists are wrong, just even using their own Bible.
Yeah.
Like, doesn't make sense to me. I mean, Jesus was, like the whole concept, turn the coin over, give to Caesar's what Caesar's, he didn't seem to indicate take over Caesar,
Well, I mean, there's verses you could go through, and the Bible better than I do, but you can go through and cherry pick verses to justify taking shit over,
It's, again, those Bible contradictions.
Yeah. Well, they did that intentionally. They did that intentionally.
What side are you going to take on these passages?
Yep. And another thing is they keep saying this is the only word of God. Talk about their Bibles right here that I'm going to burn. they keep saying this is the only word of God, and He is all knowing. But yet, if the actual all knowing Creator actually wrote those books right there, it would be perfectly clear. There would be no ambiguity. So that's another clue that these gods that they prop up are not the actual one true Creator. And do we got anything else on that one?
What was the question again?
We were still talking about using religion to incite civil war and talking about the state of America. And we're almost done, guys. We only got a couple left here.
I've heard some different guys talk about that on YouTube as far as like a civil war kind of popping off in America. Will it actually work? I don't really know. Like I said, I used to work for an administration, and you know, they are Christian presenting, but as far as how much of that religion does the president actually believe in? Unfortunately, it's not. I wouldn't vote that he actually is like a strong Christian. It's more of a when you're in a professional position, like right now, the current president's Trump, and he is supposedly a Christian. And I worked for the fucking guy for a goddamn year, you know, flying around and everything. There's always prayers. There's always things like that in the rhetoric that he uses and stuff.
Yeah.
But as far as how much he actually believes in any of that stuff, they've actually asked him one time. They said, "Are you a religious guy?" He's like, "I'm a Christian." He's like, "So which book are you more into? Are you an Old Testament guy? What's your favorite Bible verse?" And of course, he had no fucking clue.
He's like, "I'm a Christian because that's what's popular and that's what people like."
Billionaires, religion is for dumb and poor people, and billionaires think like that. I'm not saying that. I've said that before. Back when,
but you're just reiterating.
Yeah. And so, in Trump's case, McDonald's. So Raw Pat's talking about, I have a coined phrase called Chick-fil-A Christians. People that don't follow the religion, but they share memes on Instagram. Yeah. In Trump's case, McDonald's Christians. Because that motherfucker loves McDonald's, dude. He goes to COVID hospital and he begged Secret Service, "Can we please go to McDonald's?" They had to change the whole route and everything just to take him through there. And he's waving at everyone outside the hospital and stuff. But no, and unfortunately, Islam has people that believe more in the religion than Christianity does, as far as the ground roots of religion. However, I think in Christianity right now, the Christian nationalism stuff, I think, was just a way for them to, it's like playing a card. It's like Magic the Gathering, or I never played the game, but like, you know,
I never played Magic.
Pokemon. There's like these cards. I never really.
I hate card games. I fucking hate card games with a passion. Board games, card games, fuck all that shit.
And so you have these cards you play in politics, and the last president that didn't really campaign a lot on religion was Obama. People were debating whether he was Muslim or whether he was Christian or whether there was a lot of different narratives out there when it came to that.
Hey, Witch Doctor, my phone's getting close to dying on me. I just want to make sure to get our last couple questions here. And I only got 6% left. I'm not going to be able to do my tongues because I ran my fucking battery out. My phone's about to die. I will do a tongues video later to put up for everyone. But my phone's crashing on me. So, actually, it's really. I don't think we're gonna have time because I only got like a minute, and I won't be able to say goodbye to everyone. So let's just save these for later, and we'll save that for next time. And thank you guys all very much. I would have loved to do every little bit, but I just want to make sure it doesn't cut out on me without saying bye. And thank you guys for showing up. Thanks everyone for watching. This is the theology council that I want to start. And I really want to get mixed perceptions in here and start talking about stuff because this country needs open, honest communication. Okay, I am the brightest night. I am the darkest light, and I am ascending. Step into Dane's world. The dark light is upon you. This is the dark light delirium. I am unhinged, uncensored, and unapologetic. Thank you guys for rolling the dark light. I appreciate it. Love you guys.
Dude, love you, bro.
Have a good one, guys.
All right, you guys have a good one. Thank you, Witch Doctor. Witch Doctor made all this happen. Thank you, man.
Yeah, man, for sure. All right. Well, there you have it, guys. This is the second episode. First time doing a formal interview, if you will, for his channel. And I want to appreciate everybody for stopping by. And again, I am Witch Doctor. Come follow me at Witch Doctor. My YouTube channel is @_Witch Doctor. And you'll see some other content, some different stuff from me. But other than that, I'll see y'all later. Have a good one, and I appreciate everybody that hung out with us. This was a long interview or a long video, so it's great.